Welcome to the Kart Indianapolis experience at Whiteland Raceway Park. Indy's premier outdoor karting circuit, Whiteland Raceway Park is just 20 minutes south of downtown Indy and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Our trackside event center and high-speed go-karts make Whiteland Raceway Park the perfect destination for your next event or party. Stop in today or book your race online at racewrp.com and experience real racing right here in Indy.
We're at a commercial break.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200 from Acceleration Kart Racing's website?
That's because AKR gives you free shipping on orders of $200 or more within the continental US.
Okay, but I thought you were just getting a pair of gloves. That's what, 70 bucks?
But if I'm getting a new pair of gloves, I might as well get a new pair of shoes to match. And then on top of that, I'll get a neck brace because with the shipping, it's basically free.
Yeah, I do not think the math checks out on that.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free for orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Spend responsibly. Shop AKR.com.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a Sunday morning here at Whiteland Raceway Park for the Indy Karting Challenge. We're about to get started here for our first heat races. How are you doing this morning, Vince?
Oh, I'm fantastic, Stuart. It's always a great day here at the historic Whiteland Raceway Park. We've got a lot of great classes coming up. One of the more exciting ones right off the bat with your 206 Sportsman. We have about 20 karts in this field, one of the biggest classes for sure. Really excited to see how they do, and hopefully they can get through turn one unscathed.
Yeah, we always see some interesting racing here just with the sheer number of karts and a lot of people who are developing their talent quite impressively. So as we're getting ready to go here, we're sitting at a off the track but not fully yet, so it's advised that everybody ends up slowing down a little bit there. But
it's only ever been used before for the SIRA race, so a lot of learning out feeling there. You see everyone getting a little squirrely through there as they come to cross the line for lap number one.
And we still officially have the yellows out for these first section of corners. Due to that turn one incident, those karts seem to be somewhat off the track, but not fully yet. So it's advised that everybody ends up slowing down a little bit there. But now we're going into the green section of the track here.
It looks like they did slow down a bit, but that allowed fourth place Dalton Sears to close up to his two MPG teammates in Gaddis and Taylor as they try to chase down O'Gara. O'Gara has been the dominant 206 Sportsman all year. He's always up front, always has great battles with both Gaddis and Taylor. We'll see if he can hold on. Just a reminder, the heat races today are 5 minutes plus 2 laps. So even when you see that timer hit 0, there's 2 more laps to go.
That does give us a couple interesting situations from time to time when we're not entirely sure the lap length of the race if they're going to come in. But here we go, move for the lead over here through the inner hairpin.
Dominic Gaddis taking the point from Danny O'Gara. Gaddis doesn't want to push, he wants to be pushed. We'll see how O'Gara handles this. Will he be content to ride in second, wait for one of the last 2 laps to make a move? But he's got to be careful because he's got a very hungry Austin Taylor on his rear bumper.
Yeah, he's clearly putting pressure on there from behind, and as we continue to go through this race, it's going to be interesting as to what exactly O'Gara plans on doing. You can start attacking and retaliate at this point, but we're still relatively early on in the race, so you don't want to take too much energy and potentially back yourself up into the rest of the pack where you're going to get even more pressure on.
Meanwhile, just slightly behind that, we do have a battle for 5th place going on. We have the MPG car of Will Eichstinger and the AMAX Racing 41 of Elam Stoner. And his teammate Lincoln Willie is coming up trying to give some much needed help to Stoner so he can get past Eichstinger. As they cross the line with just over 2 minutes to go, your top 10 is Gaddis, O'Gara, Taylor, Sears, Feichtinger, Stoner, Willie, Lapin, Thomas, and Hendrickson.
So far, it seems in our top pack that everything started to slightly cool down. Not too much pressure, but as I say that here, O'Gara starts to get a good run going into the Banks corner. We'll see how this plays out into the hairpin.
O'Gara right on Gaddis's bumper and Taylor right on his. These 3 always race very clean and tight together. They know what they're doing. They trust each other. It's just going to depend on how much is that trust and friendship going to last as this race comes down, as we are now under 2 minutes to go in this heat race.
Yeah, for a lot of people, you hear that even though they might be friends off the track, on the track it might be a slightly different story. Of course, they're all competitors out there trying to get the best possible result. So sometimes those relationships don't exactly 100% translate, but of course still racing with fairness between everybody.
That battle between Feichtinger and Stoner is heating up as they are reeling in 4th place. Dalton, Sears, will they work together and catch up and try to get an extra spot? It looks like Stoner looks for the pass in the back section, can't quite get it done. He's going to fall back behind Feichtinger and work on his rear bumper.
The top 3 aren't quite as close going into the 180 this time, but we can still see plenty to set up as we have about 30 seconds left on the clock. So that means we should have 3 laps to go.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to have 3 laps to go this time. Obstacle sticks next time by. Top 3 still right there. A little more spaced out this time. Not close enough to make any sort of move right now. Definitely kind of a time to really learn where that guy is going to go on the next 2 laps. Meanwhile, Feichtinger, Stoner have caught up to Dalton, Sears. This could make for an interesting battle for 4th place.
At this point in the race, I'm sure all the drivers are getting familiar with what the drivers around them, where their strengths are, where their weaknesses are, what the best place to attack is, and we're going to see that play out. And using that knowledge, that's when you can learn how to make the best overtake opportunities. As O'Gara seems to make a little bit of a look down on the inside there.
Yeah, coming through that back stretch, that long run down into Daytona Turner corner, you really get a big draft coming up. So as long as you can get a good exit out of the quarter midget oval over by Death Valley, you're going to have a chance to make a move into the 180.
We got the official 2 to go that time by, as O'Gara is right on the bumper of Gaddis through the first corner, and they seem to be going almost side by side, but Danny, I think, is just lining this up for probably the back straight.
O'Gara makes a move, tries to do it over under. Gaddis gets back to the point. Will O'Gara have a counter to the counter? He's pushing Taylor, looks to make it 3 wide, backs out of the last minute, thinks better of it. Thinks, I'm just going to stay here, get a run, wait for these guys to keep battling.
And all of this is bringing Taylor right in the mix as well, as they go bumper to bumper, all 3 of them heading into the 180.
Great battle here. Does anyone make a move here? O'Gara looks a little low, doesn't want to send it yet. He's going to be content to wait for this last lap as he is all over Gaddis's bumper. Seems Gaddis and O'Gara really get a better run coming through the 180 section as Taylor's fallen off just a little, but don't count him out yet. These two really start battling as O'Gara peeks to the inside going into turn 1. Can he get it done? Gaddis holding it around the outside. O'Gara to the point.
Yeah, they went side by side through the first corner here as we did get the white flag for the last lap. We're going to have to see if O'Gara can hold on throughout the remainder of this lap. I'm expecting him to get some big pressure here on the back straightaway, but it's going to be really important how he chooses to defend here to really seal this race in for him.
Looks like O'Gara got a little bit of the exit out of Death Valley Complex over there. Taylor's going to come up to Gaddis. Gaddis not close enough to O'Gara's rear bumper yet. He gets the push from his teammate. Is he there? Does he look? No. But it did allow him to close up right on O'Gara's bumper. He looks right behind him, gives him a little bit of a push, trying to get the corner. Gaddis to the inside, cuts off O'Gara, and Dominic Gaddis is going to be your heat race winner. Danny O'Gara P2, Austin Taylor 3rd, Dalton Sears, Will Feistinger, Elam Stoner, Lincoln Wiley, Dylan Thomas, Jordan Lapin, Kaysen Hendrickson rounding out your top 10, followed by Lawson, Roberts, Peebles.
That was an incredible battle for the lead there. I don't think anybody was expecting it to go all the way down to that corner in particular, but you gotta take your advantages where you can get them, and that was a great move on the inside there. But there was also, it was interesting to see a little bit of contact between the two as they were going into that corner, just with how much of a run Gaddis ended up getting on O'Gara pretty early on in that sector of the track. So great battle we had there. And now before we get into our next race, we're going to take a quick commercial break.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
All right, welcome back to the broadcast here. The Indy Karting Challenge on Kart Chaser Grassroots, hosted here at Whiteland Raceway Park. We're waiting on some track recovery. As you can see on screen there, the Kubota with the two drivers that ended up having that first corner incident in the last race. And as they were going back to the pits, you can see pretty frustrated with both of them for how that ended up going. But as we're waiting on track recovery to start our next round of the heat races.
And that next round is going to be the 206 Cadets. This is the cadets, and they use the red slide in their motors. This is perfect for those kids just coming up out of the kid kart. It's a great way to learn racecraft, get used to the heavier kart, the higher speeds without being there in the sportsman class, get into blue flags. Your starting grid for the Cadet Heat race is going to be Simonellic, Reagan Hodges, Brett Hastings, Kyler Hendrickson, Grace Geist, Christopher Heinzen, Enzo Seiner, and Patrick. Your 206 cadets leave the grid, coming to the field. Very short formation lap here, so very important for these younger classes to get them all out cleanly and get them slowed down. A point of emphasis all weekend long of this doubleheader is jump starts, so definitely could be curious. Make sure everyone stays in those tram lines and gets slowed down. I would hate to see a penalty for the young guys as it's just learning.
Yeah, it's a matter of both safety and also competitive fairness between all the drivers as we come up to the tram lines here to make sure everybody gets a start that's equal. And as we are waiting for the green, and it looks like we do now have the green here. A little bit of contention there for second, but it seems like they're already starting to get pretty filed out after that start.
Yeah, it's Simonellic out to the early point, Hastings P2, Hodges drops to P3 on the start, but these three, they have been battling all year long, really gained a lot of experience and a lot of speed as our season has progressed. Looks like Hastings tries to make an early move on Simonellic, can't quite get it done, and this will allow Hodges to get right back up there. If this keeps up, it looks like we're going to be in store for another great battle like we had in the sportsman class.
Yeah, as we come through here, there's a pretty decent gap to first, but second going bumper to bumper through the 180 there.
Looks like Hastings and Hodges had a lot better of a run out of that complex than Simonellic did. It's going to allow them to close back up. Will they be close enough to get bumper to bumper going down the straightaway into turn one? Doesn't look like it is. It looks like Hastings had a little bobble there. Hodges makes a move. Can she make it stick? Yes, she can. Hodges to P2. Farther back in your field, it's Kyler Hendrickson in P4. Looks like McNeely 5, Grace Geist, and Christopher Heinzen all up there.
As we come around for the next lap here, you can see that Reagan is really starting to put a lot more pressure on Simonellic here in first as she pulls off to the side and gets ready to possibly go side by side through the first corner. Not quite. She's still holding on, though, through the next set of corners here. Again, it's going to be a question of how long to hold on, how long to hold back before you actually try and make the full-on move for the lead. You don't want to release too much on where you're strong for your competitor in front, because obviously then they're going to know where to defend. So unless you're completely confident that you can make the move, you want to just wait for the right moment here.
These two right now just working together, drafting each other, building up quite a gap to third place in Brett Hastings. Farther that, no man's land, Kyler Hendrickson out there by himself, and then it's the rest of the field behind it. Heinzen, Geist, McNeely.
Yeah, it was clearly critical for Reagan there is to get around Hastings just to make sure that she could hold on to this battle for the lead here as they come around. 2 minutes and it looks about 2 minutes to go here on the clock.
Ooh, a little bit of a bad Death Valley complex over there for Hodges, as she's going to drop about 2 kart lengths behind Simonelix. So just a little bobbly there. Still enough time in this race to make it up, but she can't afford another mistake like that if she wants to take home this heat race victory.
Yeah, certainly. As Hodges on the last lap, it seemed, didn't quite get as good of an exit from that complex, but then that time seemed to have some kind of mistake on there, just losing some ground to Simon Ellick, and it's really critical to stay as close as possible for the possible move into the 180 after that back straightaway.
And just like that, Hodges has came back up on Simon Ellick. She looks on the inside, can't quite get it done here.
We're going to see how Hodges does on this lap coming through this section. Seems like she might not have been as strong as Simon Ellick in this section on previous laps, but let's see how this turns out on this lap, especially watch here on the exit right before the last corner. She got just about the same kind of exit that Simon Ellick did, but obviously she has the draft, so we're going to have to see if she ends up closing the gap at all before the 180.
Doesn't really close it up there, but she's been a lot better. Oh, and she goes a little low, gets a little squirrely, and that's going to cost her some more time. I was just about to say, she had been the better driver through through the 180 complex so far this heat race, as they come to 2 laps to go. She's really going to have to put her head down and dig in if she wants this heat race win. The other thing we're going to have to watch out for is the lapped car of Enzo Seiner coming up. Will he be a factor? Is he going to be far enough ahead?
Yeah, something critical that doesn't always come across on camera well is that in the whole sector there on the 180, there's quite a lot of elevation change that ends up occurring, and that elevation change can sometimes unsettle the car, and she was much farther on the inside, and I'd say it's more of an abrupt change there rather than smooth, and that definitely did not help her case through that whole section. Not quite sure what the mistake was, but in any case, the lapped car did seem to get out of the way pretty quickly, so it didn't seem to have too much of an effect on either of them, but that gap between Hodges and Simon Ellick, it's going to be difficult to close down here in the closing stages of this race.
Meanwhile, farther back in the field, it looks like Patrick McNeely was able to get past Grace Geist for P5. And
as we come to the white flag here, as you can see, we have a yellow. There's a kart off in the first corner on the outside, so that doesn't seem to have too much of an effect at this point, as it seems that the driver has gotten out of the kart and that the kart is somewhat off the track, but still the yellow there for safety to make sure that nobody's pushing too hard. And it seems like our gap between the top 2 didn't change too much through that sector either, as the drivers did slightly slow down through that yellow flag sector.
And it looks like the car in turn 1 was your 3rd place runner of Brett Hastings. Utter heartbreak for the driver who was looking to get a solid heat race finish to line him up for the final, and he will start the final from the rear. Meanwhile, looking back at the leaders, Simonellic has a gigantic lead on Hodges. As long as everything goes right through these final 3 corners, Simonellic is going to be your heat race winner. Across the line, P1, Reagan Hodges, P2.
She ended up finishing 1.068 seconds behind Liette at the finish there, as they got the checkered and the yellow, still just making sure those drivers keep caution through the first corner with that kart still off on track as we start to get some of our next finishers here.
It's going to be Kyler Hendrickson, P3. Good finish for him. This is actually his first weekend up out of the kid kart. So like I said, this is a great learning ground for the kid kart drivers. Patrick McNeely comes home P4. Grace Geist, P5. Christopher Heinzen in P6. Enzo Seiner is actually going to end up P7. And Brett Hastings, unfortunately, P8 after his incident in turn 1.
Yeah, for those unfamiliar, Kid Kart is where drivers get their start here, and then they move up to Cadet here. So as we just got finished with our Cadet race, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with you. Welcome back to the Indy Karting Challenge here at Whiteland Raceway Park as we get ready for our next class, which is 206 Medium. Yeah, 206 Medium is our next class here.
Yeah, 206 Medium, another one of those always hotly contested classes out here. Your front half of the pack are always in lockstep, really pushing each other to the ultimate maximum out there, trying to get every position they can. And your starting lineup is going to be Eli Fox on the pole with Levi Wilbur starting second, Dylan Howerton and Jared Howerton, the Howerton brothers, taking up row number 2, Braden Johnson and Braden Mayfield in row 3, Gage Justiniano, Cami Pfister, row 4, Brady Sappenfield, and Evan McCorkadale rounding out.
For those unfamiliar with the Indy Karting Challenge here at Whiteland Raceway Park, look on screen for our social media and website. You can find all the details on both our competition races and for rental carts at racewrp.com. You can follow us on Facebook at Whiteland Raceway Park, Instagram at @racewrp, and then we have a YouTube channel as well, Whiteland Raceway Park. But that QR code you see on screen, that is the link to our Discord channel where you can see some of the most critical information. For those interested in the nitty-gritty details of everything that's going on here, whether that comes to the results, the penalties, rules, and other information from race control and our race directors here, Discord is the best place to find all of that. So for those interested in potentially joining us here at the Indy Karting Challenge, make sure you follow us on that Discord link. So this weekend here at the Indy Karting Challenge, hosted at Whiteland Raceway Park, as you can see the schedule on screen, this is the first of our 2 double headers. So yesterday we had a race which was considered round 6. I believe today is technically considered round 7. So they're back-to-back days here, and that means that in addition to having all the competition yesterday on one track layout, we have all the competition today on a completely different track layout, going a completely different direction, and with a number of different subsets of corners. As we start to get going here, the formation lap is going to begin before we go to take the green.
It looks like we have a little bit of issues on the formation laps. It looks like Levi Wilbur had a little mistake, went a little wide. No harm, no foul, as he is able to make his way back up to his outside pole starting position.
Yeah, it's a fine balance to strike between warming up your tires and then hopefully not spinning your kart as well. And not quite sure exactly what happened there, but what's important now is that they're starting to form up 2 by all the way down here to get ready to go to the green. We can see our head flagger there on the left, Adam Boros, getting ready to go. And we get the green flag again, making sure that that was all occurring within the start zone there. And it doesn't look like anything was too outrageous, but a car just got stuck on top of another there. Not quite sure exactly who that was.
That looks like it is going to be Braden Johnson dropping to the rear as he gets stuck on another competitor.
Yeah, that's going to be critical here throughout this entire race. Obviously, there's still plenty of time to make your way back up in the heat race and then hopefully set yourself up at a good place for the final, but that's definitely not going to help his case throughout this race.
As I look through the field, it looks like it was Dylan Howerton that Braden Johnson got tangled up with. 2 very fast drivers out here. We'll see if they can put that early incident aside and work their way back up through the field. It did help Evan McCorkadale, who's always fast out here. Started last due to an unfortunate issue in qualifying, and he is making his way up. Already gained 3 spots up to P7.
Yeah, what makes it critical within your entire championship is to make sure you maximize everything that's going on, even when races aren't exactly going to start the way that you want them to, same with qualifying and everything. How you can still maximize the finish in the final to try and get as many points as you possibly can.
Yeah, and it looks like Howerton and Johnson already able to get past the 4 Brady Stappenfield. Little spaced out. They're going to have to catch up to each other and work together if they want any hope of getting better than 8th and 9th. Back up front, it's a 3-kart race right now between Eli Fox, Levi Wilbur, and Jared Howerton. Cami Pfister looking on the outside, but she has no help right now. A little bit in no man's land. However, you do have 3 karts, Mayfield, Justiniano, McCorkadell right there. So if they can catch up to her, give her a little push, and we'll see if they can catch up to the top 3.
Yeah, as we have a side-by-side overtake into the first corner there, we're going to have to see how that plays out on the exit.
Looks like it's McCorkadell and Justiniano going at it. McCorkadell tried to hang it on the outside, couldn't quite get it done. Is he going to look for an over-under here? No, Justiniano defends it well. McCorkadell's going to have to be a little more patient to get past him, but once he gets past him, he has eyes towards the front.
Yeah, we're going to want to take a look at the back straight here as we have a bumper-to-bumper action, but also it does seem like the number 19 getting alongside the 48 there. We'll have to see how that plays out through the switchback.
McCorkadell backs off. He knows it's not smart this early to go too wide through that switchback. It really tightens down. You have the great run out of Death Valley down the backstretch, and then it tightens up a little bit before heading to Daytona.
Yeah, and the critical thing that you know, is not super obvious unless you're actually on track racing is that there is a big chance for you to potentially dip a wheel before going into that banked corner, which can be especially dangerous. Can completely throw you off through the rest of your lap, lose a ton of lap time, and potentially even spin and cause a bigger accident, maybe even take you out of the race. So, especially since we are still early on in into this race, there was no point in taking that big risk, and I would say that was calculated pretty well to just back off.
McCorkadell able to get the pass done on Justiniano going into turn 1 this time by. Meanwhile, back out front, it is still Eli Fox and Levi Wilbur 1-2. Howerton's fallen off just a little. He really wants these two to start battling if he wants to catch them.
Yeah, the critical part about when the battling starts getting close, every time that you go offline to defend, you're just losing time to the rest of the field. So you got to pick and choose. When are you going to defend? When are you going to attack? All of it makes you lose time compared to going on the optimal racing line.
Definitely seems like Howerton has the better line coming through the middle oval section as he's able to close up just a little. Not enough really to get on that bumper, but he is right there waiting for a mistake. Meanwhile, the rest of your field has packed up. Cami Pfister still P4, Braden Mayfield P5, Evan McCorkadell P6, all right there. If they can hook up and go, this train has a really good shot of catching your front 3. Meanwhile, It's McCorkadell making a move on Braden Mayfield. Can he get it done? Mayfield defends. Looks like Howardson to the inside as well. Good to be curious how this transpires down the back stretch. McCorkadell's just going to settle pushing Mayfield right now. Oh no, and McCorkadell, he goes wide coming out of the 180 complex. He's going to, all that hard work is going to go. He's going to drop 2, 3, maybe even 4 spots as Braden Johnson is able to get past him.
Yeah, he's still in the race, but going off the track like that, you're getting dirt on your tires, you're losing a ton of time. Just the amount of drag that you get throughout there, and then just trying to recover, trying to get as many, or not lose any more positions than you already have. But the critical part is also you can't join the track again unsafely. You can't take any other competitor out of the race for you going off. So just trying to minimize the damage at this point.
Oh, and it looks like Howerton made a mistake entering the Death Valley complex, hit the curb a little bit, and he's going to lose a spot to Braden Johnson. That is exactly what Braden Johnson wants to see after that early lap 1 mistake.
A little bit of a look there in the 180 from them, but so far no position swapping.
And they are coming to 2 laps to go. It's still Eli Fox out front with Levi Wilbur right behind him. Howerton doing everything he can to catch up. But it's really going to be a great battle out front, and then 4th through 9th all in a pack, and it looks like the 4 of Brady Sappenfield is going to pull off.
Yeah, not quite sure what happened there. Seems some kind of mechanical failure, but yeah, it's just really interesting to see here that we have this battle for 1st and 2nd. Then we kind of have 3rd out there in no man's land, and then an incredible train of all these karts right behind them. A little bit of a look from 48 down on the inside there, but didn't quite make any moves stick, as our 1st and 2nd place drivers don't seem to be going too close, but you never know what might happen within these last 2 laps. We've seen quite a bit of action so far.
Yeah, 1st and 2nd, Fox still leading as we come to the white flag, 1 lap to go. Wilbur, Howerton, and Braden Johnson has caught up to the back of his AMAX Racing teammate, Cami Pfister. Dylan Howerton and McCorkadell there too.
Off on the inside, not quite sure what happened there.
It looks like it is going to be Braden Mayfield. He was a part of that pack. He was running P7 last time by. That's going to drop him back to P9. As we look to Death Valley, Eli Fox still leading them, and it looks like we have one around in turn 1. I believe that is the 48 of Gage Justin Miano. Meanwhile, back on the battlefield lead, Levi Wilbur looks going through the switchback. Can he get it done inside? Yes, Wilbur to the point.
Yeah, side by side through there, that was crazy close, but both of them seem to get through there pretty cleanly as we get ready to go for the checkered here. A little bit of pressure going through this inside section, but it looks like
yeah, and it's going to be Levi Wilbur holding off Eli Fox. Amazing last lap pass. Levi Wilbur is your heat race winner. Eli Fox P2, Jared Howerton P3. Now we look back for the battle to 4th. It's going to be Braden Johnson, Dylan Howerton, Evan McCorkadale, Hammy Pfister P7. As we wait for these final 2, it's going to be Braden Mayfield P8, Gage Justiniano P9, and Brady Sappenfield routing out your field in 10. I'll tell you what, Stuart, that was an exciting last lap pass. A lot of people don't like going too wide through the switchback leading Daytona, but when it's the last lap, you got to make it work. Nose is there, it's your position. Just go for it. Yeah,
you got to do what you got to do to pull away with that win, and it was very much a clean move, and you kind of have to wonder if he was holding that back just for that last lap, kind of scoping it out on some of those other laps where he maybe had a couple looks there, but yeah, made it work in the end, which was obviously critical for the race, and was able to hold it off through the rest of the lap as well, which was very impressive. Who knows what we're going to see in the final for that class as well.
I don't know. It was also impressive drives from Braden Johnson, Dylan Howerton. Those are the two who got hooked together in that turn 1 incident, and they fought back. 4th for Johnson and 5th for Howerton, respectively. So really excited to see what this finals can produce. But meanwhile, I'm even more excited to see what the 206 junior field is going to do for their heats.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, it's critical how you can manage those unfortunate situations and how you can still maximize your finish after that, because obviously for the final they're going to bunch all back up for that start, and so just getting your best possible starting position for that, even if you are far off from the leaders, could make or break the rest of your weekend. So after that very entertaining heat race, we're going to go to a quick commercial break and we'll be right back with you.
Back to Whiteland Raceway Park as your 206 junior heat race is rolling out. Starting grid is Adler Klein, P1, Carson Benjamin outside pole, followed by Jackson Stone, Gabriel Payne, Evan Patton, Lucian Lazier, Lucas Randolph, Easton Shores, Mason Ward, Colin Harden, Nico Santos, and then Thomas Anthony. It looks like Thomas Anthony is able to make the call earlier. He told me he was having engine problems, so glad to see that he's able to make the field out there, and we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, it was interesting to see just how slow they ended up rolling out of the grid there, trying to make sure that they can form up as early as possible while still getting that little bit of tire temp in as we wait to hopefully get the green here. But there was lots and lots of pushing that ended up going on there. But so far it looks like we're going to go through. The outside road just did not get as nearly as good of a launch as we have a little bit of sideways action there. Can't tell exactly what kart that is from here, but fell back a lot of positions there on the start while we have our person in first place getting a huge gap on the rest of the field. And we have karts going around and up and over there through that section.
Didn't see who all was involved, but that is going to be the 317 of Thomas Anthony, the one who gets turned around and back to last place.
Let's just call it.
All right, as they're coming now through the oval section, it looks like it's going to be the number 3 of Adler Klein with a big gap to P2 and P3. P2 is going to be Jackson Stone, Gabriel Payne, P3. It looks like we do have a battle building for P number 4 between Lucas Randolph, Mason Ward, and Carson Benjamin. All bumper to bumper, trying to see where everyone's going to go, trying to move up as early as you can. That's one thing. When you are in that lead pack, you're more content to just stay in line and wait till the last lap. But when you're a little farther back, you know the whole race is go time. You got to go, move, make as many positions up as you can. They are bumper to bumper coming through the switchback, going through Daytona. Everyone's playing nice right now. Race still early, a lot of times, just under 4 minutes plus 2 laps remaining. Oh, and we have contact. 2 drivers off in the grass exiting the 180 complex. It looks like that is going to be the 13 of Mason Ward, and I can't quite make out the other one. It looks like it might be the 327 of Lucas Randolph. Oh, that is not good. They were battling for P4.
That should, yeah, they give us back to our start. We started at 6, right? Yeah, put us back to our start.
Staff over there trying to get them going to see if they can help. Remember, we can help the junior karts, so they're going to be out there trying to help them, trying to fire them up, but I think these 2 drivers may be done. And here comes the leader, Adler Klein, coming out of the banking into that 180 section. They're going to remove that kart off the field. Tough break for Randolph and Ward.
Take a look at the bottom right of your screen. You can see some of the action here and what exactly caused this contact on lap 1. You can see people were getting ran wide there. And then as we go through this next set of corners, that's when the actual main contact there that caused karts to go up and over each other. Quite crazy there opening lap, and we're gonna take a look back here in a minute just to see what most recently happened.
Yeah, that previous incident that you just pulled up, it looked like the 317 of Thomas Anthony got hit and turned a little bit there. Couldn't quite tell who did it, and when you're that far in a tightly contested pack, things are just going to happen. Luckily, everyone was okay and able to get away from it. Looking back on the on-track action, Adler Klein is just walking away from this field. He has a huge gap to P2 of Jackson Stone. Right behind Stone, we do have Gabriel Payne trying to draft up and battle for that P2.
All right, if you take a look at the bottom right of your screen right now, you can see what that incident was and how these karts went off. That was the number 8, or number 13 and the 27 there. Just some contact on the exit of the 180, and that ended up sending both of them way off, running into that flag panel there as well. That the number 327 kind of there, just left there in shock as both of them were stuck there for quite a while, but that gives us insight as to what exactly that incident was.
Yeah, exiting that 180 complex, there is a lot of elevation change, and it's a little rough over there, so you gotta be careful when you're pushing someone. It's very easy, get a little bit too big of a tap and push someone off into the grass there. Our top 3 still standard. Adler Klein just absolutely walking away with it. Jackson Stone P2, Gabriel Payne P3. Farther back, Easton Shores, Carson Benjamin round out your top 5, and that's when we start to get battles. Battle for 6 between Lucian Laser and Colin Harden, and right behind them we have Nico Santos and Thomas Anthony trying to catch up. Oh no, and it looks like Anthony's going to make a pass on Laser for P number 6. Quite a drive from that AMAX Racing driver, as he's the one who got turned around in the Death Valley complex to make his way back up. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, again, just maximizing that recovery there, seeing what you can do, get yourself in a good place for the final. That's what's critical at this point. Just a heads up, this next time by is going to be 2 laps to go, as the clock just ran out a little bit ago.
Coming to 2 laps to go, and it is all Adler Klein. He is doing everything in his power to make this like a Sunday drive. 2 laps to go. Right behind him, we still have Stone and Payne battling. Stone's been able to keep a little bit of a gap between him and Payne, not enough to let Payne come up on his rear bumper, and he's going to want to make sure that that's the case as the last 2 laps conclude.
Yeah, our leader here really is making this as quite literally a nice Sunday drive, nice and calm out there in the front. And, you know, that's about as good of a job as you could possibly pull off as a driver.
Farther back in the field, we do have a pass for 8th as Nico Santos is able to get past Colin Harden. Really the only battle that we have on the track right now. Everyone else has at least a little gap between them and the position behind.
Yeah, a lot of that first lap chaos seemed to really just spread out the field, and then from there, that's when we had all these just separate groups developing. Not really anybody too close, except for some of these lower pack battles right there. Maybe a little pressure going into the 180, but nothing crazy. As we take the white flag here, this is the last lap around the track.
Yeah, last lap right now. Adler Klein has it wrapped up with a nice little bow. Jackson Stone doing everything that he can to hold off a hard-charging Gabriel Payne. We'll see if this gap stays stagnant or if Payne will be able to close. But the way the past couple laps have done, just look at the last lap. Jackson Stone at 56.709, Gabriel Payne 56.7.5. So they're running almost identical lap times. Not a lot of give there. Coming through the 180 complex, entering in the middle over, it has been all Adler Klein as he makes the last 2 corners. Adler Klein is going to be your 206 Junior Heat Race winner. Jackson Stone's going to come across the line P2, Gabriel Payne P3 as we wait for the rest of the cars to finish. It's going to be Easton Shores P4, Carson Benjamin P5, but Thomas Anthony P6. Lucian Laser P7, Nico Santos P8, Colin Harden P9 with Lucas Randolph and Mason Ward rounding out your field as they were the 2 involved in that incident in the 180.
Yeah, quite a bit of contact and drama in that race there, but in the end, Klein finishing with an impressive 4.2 second gap over second place. That is probably the biggest gap we've seen today in terms of first and second finishing, and that's really impressive to be able to pull away in a heat race. So we're going to see what comes next here at Whiteland Raceway Park for the Indy Karting Challenge. We'll see you after this commercial break.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
our 206 Masters rolling on the track for their heat race. Pole position, it's the 83 and Melvin Godsey, Matt Geist on his outside, Troy Toney P3, Jamie Bradford P4, Michael Baden, and BJ Schnettler rounding out your field. Always a tight race between these guys. It may not be the biggest kart counts, but they're all very experienced, very fast around here, lots of laps. And normally they have some of the best starts, some of the slowest, most precise starts that we see out of any class here during IKC events.
Yeah, the slower you can go, the more you can get formed up accurately here, and they were definitely inching around that corner before getting onto the start-finish straight here. As we wait, and we do get the green flag, so it's green, green, green here. Our pole sitter seems to get off to a pretty decent start there, and everybody else, not too many big moves from there, but we do have a little bit of side-by-side action going through here through the Death Valley complex.
Yeah, it's Godsey holding on to P1 right now. Guys, P2, Troy Toney right there, a little bit of a slip up there, could create a little bit of a gap, but he's got big push from Jamie Bradford right behind him. Going to make sure that they don't get separated too far from these front two. As they come through the oval section, they're going to be completing lap number 1. Right now, it's going to be Melvin Godsey, Matt Geist, Troy Toney, Jamie Bradford, Michael Baden, and then BJ Schnettler. Pretty much no one's really moved this race. Starting grid's still in order, but I don't expect that to last soon. Geist looks to the outside, seeing if he can get anything out of Melvin Godsey. They run a little wide, trying to make up for it, running shallow in the next corner, but that's going to allow Godsey to get a little bit of a gap. But with those two fast guys right behind him, that gap's going to close in a hurry. As we go through Daytona Corner, it looks like Toney and Bradford have caught up, back up to the end of Matt Geist as they are coming. Godsey doesn't want these guys to work together because he knows if they start getting hooked up, he is going to be a sitting duck down these long straightaways. He's doing everything he can to hit his apexes and run as fast as he can.
Yeah, when people start to work together out on track, that's when you start to see a lot of movement. It can be really dangerous for those who are out up in front. Something that you might not expect as we get a move for the lead there.
Yeah, it's Matt Geist to P1 over Godsey, and also Jamie Bradford gets around Troy Toney in the same complex. So we have a shakeup for the top 4. It's now Geist, Godsey, Bradford, and Toney. Godsey all over the rear bumper of Matt Geist as they come through the Daytona corner, leading into the 180 complex. Got to make sure you're pushing perfectly over here. Like we saw the 206 juniors, things can go wrong in a hurry. Godsey a little bobble there. He's going to lose a bit of ground to Geist as they come through the oval complex.
A little over 2.5 minutes to go on the clock here. Starting to get close to the midway point in the race as we have the number 30, I believe, right there, pulling off with some kind of issue going into the pits.
Yeah, that's going to be the number 30, BJ Schnettler, pulling off early in this race. Good news, Stuart, is it's just a heat race. It's not ideal, but you do have time to fix whatever went wrong and come out and have a good final. Meanwhile, looking back out front, Matt Geist has increased his lead over Melvin Godsey. Godsey really wanting Jamie Bradford to get up there and give him a push as they head into the 180 complex. Bradford around Godsey for P2 as they come. Now Bradford's going to tell them, push me, get me as close as I can to Matt Geist. I want to be leading this heat race.
Yeah, that was a pretty nice move from the 118 there in the intersection. Just maximizing maximizing everything you can do there through kind of what I'd say is one of the more unexpected passing opportunities of this layout. But if you have the pace, if you have the car control, you can make it work.
Absolutely. We saw it earlier with the first heat race of the day, Dominic Gaddis with that amazing last lap lunge on Danny O'Gara. So if you have full faith in your kart and your competitors, you can make it work.
Yeah, it seems that right now Geist is still holding on to a healthy gap between Bradford there in second, but we're going to have to see how this ends up playing out. Getting close to the closing stages of this race, a minute left on the clock right now.
Yeah, as they cross the line, it is a 4/10 gap. No, yeah, 4/10 gap between Bradford and Geist. But Bradford's there in a hurry. He's back in the draft. Godsey trying to get up there and help as best as he can. Troy Toney doing everything he can. He does not want to finish fourth. He wants to be at least P3 starting that inside of the row.
Yeah, that gap is slowly starting to close between Bradford and Geist here, so we're gonna have to see if he can put the pressure on in the closing stage of this race. Last time across the line, the gap was 0.38 seconds between the two, and I expect it to be much closer this time that they cross the transponder line.
Yeah, Bradford really seems to get a better run coming out of the 180 complex as we enter the middle oval. And our head flagger, Adam Burrows, popsicle 6 in the air, 2 to go for the 2:06 Masters. That time by, the gap closed. It dropped about 2.5 tenths left to go for Jamie Bradford to get past Matt Geist, and he is all over his rear bumper.
Yeah, putting a lot of pressure on. It seems that really he was trying to set up his car for the end of this race as it starts to come alive a little bit more than Geist seems to be, but we're going to have to see. Geist is really talented. It might be able to pull some nice defensive moves here just to try and hold off Bradford behind him as they start to drop the rest of the karts behind them by just a little bit here, which might become critical in these last 2 laps just to make sure that when these two start battling, they don't both end up losing positions to Godsey.
Yeah, once again, we see Bradford close up through the 180 complex. It seems like Geist gets a better run exiting Death Valley. Doesn't really mean as much since you had the long run into Daytona Corner, but as we take the white flag, they are neck and neck. It is a 2/10 gap from Jamie Bradford to Matt Geist going into turn number 1. However, Bradford looks to the inside. Can he make a good pass? Geist holding the outside, turns the inside.
This side-by-side action is crazy, but it does appear that Geist still manages to hold on to his position, which is really, really impressive. They were very, very clean through there, only maybe a light tap between the two. But as we go on to this back straight before the Daytona Corner, this is where it's going to be critical. This is where the lap starts to close.
And here comes Melvin Godsey. Will Godsey have anything for these guys? Nose to tail through the 180 complex. Nothing yet, but we've seen Bradford make passes over here in the oval already this heat race. He's going to look. Can he get it done? No, great defending done by Matt Geist as they come out of the last corner. It is going to be Matt Geist winning your 2:06 Masters heat race, followed by Jamie Bradford, Melvin Godsey, and Troy Toney. Michael Baden is going to round out your finishers of P5, and BJ Schnettler, who pulled off early, is going to be P6.
Yeah, we saw there that Godsey really ended up closing up on that last lap as they were battling, but in the end, it ended up still being Geist and Bradford in 1 and 2. We'll see you back here shortly after a quick commercial break.
We're at a commercial break.
Hello everyone and welcome back to round 7 of the Indy Karting Challenge here at Whiteland Raceway Park.
Next up, it is our final heat race of the morning grouping, and it is your KA Senior, KA Masters. KA Senior is going to line up as follows. Augusto Soto Sharipa taking pole position with almost just under a tenth separating him. In second place, AJ Lund. Eli Fox and Lane Gibbs round out second row, followed by Braden Rudder and Hudson Potter in row 3. Raider Santos, Blake Finley, row 4. Casey Perry, Clay Robbins, 5. Randall Hubble, Colt Shook, row 6. Michael Gundolf is your last KA Senior, and then we have the KA Masters, just 2 of them today, the 21 of Joshua Nelson and the 495 of David Williams. Always interesting to see how much these drivers warm up their tires on this short out lap. Coming through the oval, they see that bright yellow-green cone. That is the lineup cone. Once you get to that cone, you need to start slowing down, getting in your rows of 2, getting ready to go. A lot of weaving here as they enter the tram lines. Sharipa Lund leading the field, and it's green, green, green. Into turn 1 they go. And they all make it through. Looks like, yes, everyone makes it through turn 1 safely. Sharipa had a great start, really gapping AJ Lund, and Lund now has to worry about Eli Fox all over his rear end. Fox takes it to the inside. Can he get it done? Yes, he can. Eli Fox passed AJ Lund to P2. Coming through Daytona right now, we see Fox starting to gap Lund a little bit. He's going to do everything he can to catch up to Soto Sharipa as fast as he can. Doesn't want him running away. Meanwhile, the rest of the field all single file for now. Oh, and we have contact in the middle hairpin. It looks like Braden Rudder was trapped on the inside, dipped a tire just a bit. Looked like it was Lane Gibbs trying to make a pass around the inside. Rudder is going to drop back a couple positions back down to P6. And as Rudder throwing a pass down on the inside, it looks like that was Hudson Potter that he was trying to get around. Go to make it happen, but now Potter's all over him, and farther back, 2 wide coming through there. It looks like Casey Perry on Raider Santos gets the position.
Yeah, a lot of critical movement here in these opening laps, but what is going to be most important for everybody who's not in the lead right now, to just try and close the gap, or else Soto Sharipa will definitely run away with this race if everybody else is not careful.
And it looks like our head flagger, Adam Boros, is not happy as he just gives the rolled up black warning flag to Lane Gibbs. Gibbs is going to have to be careful out there.
For those unfamiliar, the rolled up black flag does not indicate any kind of penalty, but it does indicate a warning. So it means be careful from now on. Race control has their eyes on you, and you don't want to keep doing what you would have done before.
Back out front is still Augusto Soto Sharipa just running away with it. Eli Fox doing what he can to close the gap. Last time by, it was just under a second. AJ Lund in 3rd, Lane Gibbs 4th, Braden Rudder rounds out the top 5. Just behind Rudder, though, he does have 2 Top Kart USA drivers in Hudson Potter and Blake Finley. We'll see if they can hook up and try to get past Rudder. So far the rest of this lap, everyone just staying single file, trying to fill each other out. Where's everybody else's weaknesses? Where can I make a move in the closing laps? As we are just over 2 minutes plus 2 laps to go in this race.
Yeah, on that camera angle that we just switched away to, you can see the karts get maybe even a little bit of airtime just coming out of that 180. Again, what we've discussed before is that what seems to be a really critical section of the track where you can end up making a mistake that will absolutely ruin your race is just through the exit there, holding on to it, just making sure that you can both go fast but also not lose a ton of time, potentially go off track and lose position.
Yeah. front four still gapping themselves out, pretty even gaps across the board there. Then you get back to Braden Rudder and P5, a little bit smaller gap back to Hudson Potter. But once you get to Hudson Potter, you have 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th all right there. So it's really going to be a good battle here towards the end between Potter, Finley, Robinson, Perry to see if they can get 6th. That gap between first and second keeps growing about 1/10 per lap. It's now 1.319 seconds between Soto Sharipa and Eli Fox. Meanwhile, it looks like Lane Gibbs is starting to close up on AJ Lund. Gap was under a second that time by. We'll see if Gibbs has anything for Lund to take home 3rd place. Looking back again at that battle for 6th, Hudson Potter is starting to stretch it out a little bit over Finley, but Finley's got his hands full with Clay Robbins, Casey Perry, and Raider Santos right behind him. As we come to 2 laps to go for our leader, Soto Sharipa.
What we've seen here in this race is a pretty significant spread of the field. Not too many carts too close to each other, except for these mid-pack battles that are going on, about to come through the Death Valley complex right now.
Definitely going to keep our eye for that battle for 7th, as it looks like we do have a pass. Clay Robbins going around Blake Finley. Finley tries to cross him over. Too wide on the backstretch as they go. Casey Perry throwing it up on the inside as well. Perry gets by Finley. Finley's going to lose a lot of time in track position there. Raider Santos wasn't able to capitalize like Perry was.
All 4 of those carts incredibly close through there, and what we ended up seeing is that when one cart finally made a pass on another, then it just ended up being another 2-wide situation with all those carts so close to each other as they come around to take the white flag right now.
That white flag last lap of the heat race, and it is all Augusto Soto Sharipa, as he has a 2.5 lead on 2nd place Eli Fox. Those who are content, just be smooth, finish out the race. AJ Lund still holding off Lane Gibbs. I don't know if Gibbs is going to have enough to get there. It looks like he's still got 3 or 4 cart length gap back to Gibbs. Meanwhile, looking back at that backfield, they are all nose to nose. Casey Perry makes a move on Clay Robbins.
Yeah, luckily he got it done before going through that banked corner where it would have been much more difficult to pull off. But as they go through the 180 there, the 414 makes a little bit of a look down on the inside, but it does seem that they're all going to hold position as they are about to come and take the checkered flag right now.
Meanwhile, it was Augusto Soto Sharipa taking home the win. Eli Fox P2, AJ Lund 3, Lane Gibbs, Braden Rudder, Hudson Potter, Casey Perry, Clay Robbins, Blake Finley, Raider Santos round out your top 10. Just waiting for the final finishers here. It's going to be Hubble, Gundolf, Shook. And then for our KA Masters, it's going to be Joshua Nelson taking home the win and Nathan Williams, E2. And that is it for morning session heat races. We're going to take a little break, but we will be right back with your 206 Sportsman Final.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200 from Acceleration Kart Racing's website?
That's because AKR gives you free shipping on orders of $200 or more within the continental US.
Okay, but I thought you were just getting a pair of gloves. That's what, 70 bucks?
But if I'm getting a new pair of gloves, I might as well get a new pair of shoes to match. And then on top of that, I'll get a neck brace because with the shipping, it's basically free.
Yeah, I do not think the math checks out on that.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free for orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Spend responsibly. Shop AKR.com.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. From more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
Welcome to the Kart Indianapolis experience at Whiteland Raceway Park. Indy's premier outdoor karting circuit, Whiteland Raceway Park is just 20 minutes south of downtown Indy and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Our trackside event center and high-speed go-karts make Whiteland Raceway Park the perfect destination for your next event or party. Stop in today or book your race online at racewrp.com and experience real racing right here in Indy.
We're at a commercial break.
all the way around to the point of where it's like. Yeah. I'll get a hold of you when I'm back in town.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Whiteland Raceway Park for round 7 of the Indy Karting Challenge. Right here, we're in Whiteland, Indiana right now, where it is a nice 73 degrees, about a 4 or 5 degree increase from where we started our day at. The track's going to start to warm in comparison to where we did our practice heat races and qualifying, so the track conditions are going to be continuously changing for the drivers. Not exactly going to be the same thing they went out there with earlier, but in addition to their heat races, our finals are going to be slightly longer. So more action, more time to make some moves, but also more time we're going to need to play it safe, be strategic, be careful, stay in it until the end, and then make your moves when we get to the closing stages of each race.
Yeah, the finals, for those watching at home unfamiliar with the IKC rules, they're 9 minutes plus 2 laps, and we are going to be starting with one of the biggest classes, if not the biggest class of the weekend, E206 Sportsman. They have 19 karts out there. Always super fast, hotly contested, makes for a lot of action. If you remember back to the heat race, Dominic Gaddis with a fantastic last corner pass on Danny O'Gara, and because of that, he is going to be leading the field to green with O'Gara outside home, followed by Taylor, Sears, Feistinger, Stoner, Billy, Thomas, Lapin, Hendrickson, Lawson, Roberts, Peebles, Call, Wade, Zeal, Schnettler, and then Grace Geisen, Blake Martinez, who were involved in that turn 1 incident that took them out of contention.
Yeah, a lot of interesting stuff that happened in this class in our heat races, so we're going to see how this ends up translating over to the finals here as the drivers, of course, start to form up, go too wide over here to get in line with the tram lines before the start here.
Nice and slow rolling through the oval. That is what race director Matthew Burpo wants to see. Something that tends to happen quite a bit with your younger classes is they like to come to the line way too fast, and you got to really get them slowed down. Slow rolling through the tram lines. We'll see if we go green this time by.
And it is green, green, green from our head flagger Adam Boros there, as we do start to see lots of side-by-side action, lots of shuffling, but in the end here, lots and lots of places that ended up changing here in our top positions.
Yeah, and I don't know what happened to Danny O'Gara there, but he just did not have a good start at all. He gets shuffled back from P2 all the way back to P4, allowing Austin Taylor and Will Feistinger to get past him. Meanwhile, we do unfortunately have a kart stopped, and I believe that is turn 4 or 5.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how that happened, but does not seem to necessarily have taken them out of the race. They're trying to refire it right now, and the kart is continuing on, but with such a big gap to the rest of the field, it's going to be very hard to close that up.
Coming to the line, complete lap number 1 is going to be Dominic Gaddis leading the way with Austin Taylor, Will Feistinger, Danny O'Gara, and Dalton Sears right behind.
Yeah, very, very tough start for O'Gara there, losing a number of places.
And just like that, O'Gara makes one of them up as he gets past Feistinger into turn 1. It looks like that kart that was involved in that that lap 1 incident is going to unfortunately be Elam Stoner. So Stoner's got a lot of work to do if he wants to gain any positions in this race.
It's not impossible, but it certainly won't be easy.
Looking back up front, the two MPG Motorsports teammates of Gaddis and Taylor are working together just perfectly to create even bigger gap to O'Gara.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a struggle for O'Gara here to try and hold on to this lead pack. With them working together, it's going to be difficult to start closing that gap, but it's going to be absolutely critical that he stays in it in the early stages of this race. Right now, he's in a little bit of a no man's land here in between position 2 and position 4.
At that time by O'Gara was about 1.2 seconds back from your front 2. He really wants Feistinger and Sears behind him, 2 more MPG teammates to start working together and catch up to him. Because in these 206 classes, the draft is very, very important. So if those 2 can work together and catch him, I can see them catching these front 2 of Gaddis and Taylor before the end of the race.
Right now, Taylor went through the 180 right on the back bumper of Gaddis. So it's clear that they're definitely working together, kind of holding back in the early stage of this race. We still have over 7 minutes and 30 seconds to go, so a long time to go. Don't want to waste too much energy here early on. Just want to keep everybody in it.
Yeah, and it looks like Taylor might have had a little bobble on exit of the oval section, as he is now half a second behind Dominic Gaddis. That is not what Taylor wants. Meanwhile, O'Gara is still trying to get there. He has closed it down to about 1.2 seconds to Austin Taylor in second. And now O'Gara really in that no man's land, as it looks like the duo of Feistinger and Sears just are not able to match O'Gara's pace.
Yeah, a couple of hand signals there between the 2. Not quite sure exactly what that was from this distance, but what we can see here is that the battle for first as well, with Taylor starting to close some ground on Gaddis again after his mistake.
There may be a gap, but it's no problem for O'Gara, as he just goes purple on that time with a 55.052, closes the gap by about 3/10. Meanwhile, farther back, we do have quite a gaggle of karts in that 6th through 9th range, with Lincoln Willie leading that pack, but he's got some angry competitors behind him. Dylan Thomas making a move on Titus Roberts. Roberts looks to cross him back over, can't quite get it done.
Lots of side-by-side action there, as we see a little bit, maybe a little bit of a peak from Taylor there on the battle for the lead. But what's been really interesting through that set of corners there in Death Valley is that since it's just so back and forth, even if you do get an advantage out of one, you have to work really hard to continue that into the next corner, because what might be the optimal position into one corner will certainly not be the optimal position into the other.
And it looked, exiting the 180 complex, that Willie got a little wide for that battle for 6th. It's going to allow the rest of those karts to catch right back up to him. And it looks like Dylan Thomas and Titus Roberts are going to work together, going on the inside, see if they can get past Willie going into turn 1, and they do. Move Willie back to 8th. Looks like Gaddis has a little bit of a gap again. Taylor is fast, but it looks like he doesn't quite have the consistency that Gaddis has today, and that's going to allow O'Gara to close back up. Taylor's got to be careful, or he's going to give O'Gara the draft, and then that's not something they want. Instead of a 2-kart teammate battle, it becomes 3 with a hard-charging Danny O'Gara.
Yeah, gap between Gaddis and Taylor that time around was 0.7 seconds, and the gap between Taylor and O'Gara was 0.516. So now that O'Gara's really in the mix here, he's going to start getting that draft even more. It's going to allow him to start putting even more pressure on these top two, which obviously they do not want, but O'Gara is looking to start making some serious progress as we get right around the halfway point of this race.
Right around the halfway point, top three all just trying to bunch back up together. Meanwhile, fourth and fifth, the two MPG Motorsports teammates of Will Fetchinger and Dalton Sears still working together, really not making progress. You'd like to really start closing the gap if you're working together with a teammate. It just seems like they don't quite have the pace that these top three have. This time by, it is Austin Taylor setting quick time with a 54.826. He shrinks that gap by about 0.2. O'Gara right there too. But now that Taylor's hooked up on Gaddis, he's got to hope. O'Gara's got to hope for a little bit more help and a little bit more bobbles to get up there in this fight.
Yeah, I believe O'Gara increased his gap there by about a 10th, fell off from about a 10th between this battle for the top two. So it's going to be really critical that he stays within this really important range to start closing down on them. But Taylor is putting a lot of pressure here on Gaddis, just sitting on his back bumper. There's one mistake and we might end up seeing a change for the lead here.
Yeah, absolutely. Taylor is there. He's learning absolutely everything he can about Dominic Gaddis's line, hoping on the closing laps that he's close enough to make a move. But don't look now. Here is Danny O'Gara right there. Don't count him out. He is coming up fast on the bumper of Taylor.
Yeah, gap that time by Taylor only 0.378 behind Gaddis, but O'Gara was only 0.274 behind as well. So just as was needed for him, he is closing that gap.
And O'Gara has caught the rear bumper of Taylor. He is there. Now the question is, Stuart, will he push Taylor and get back to a three-car battle, or is he going to try to make a move the next couple laps so he can pick off Gaddis at his own?
Yeah, it's hard to say, and I'm sure it's going to be a calculated decision from him as we have about 2 minutes left on the clock.
Coming out of the 180 complex into the middle oval, it looks like O'Gara gets a better exit out of there, and then Taylor a little bit better drive off. Going to make an interesting last minute and a half for sure.
Slight increases on both of their gaps on that last lap.
Exiting Death Valley, Austin Taylor gets another great run, sucked right up to the rear bumper of Gaddis, but it seems to me that he is more than, never mind, he's going to the inside. Can he get it done? Yes, he can. Put Austin Taylor to the point. However, this is going to allow Danny O'Gara to get right there on their rear bumper. This is going to be a fantastic three-car battle to the finish.
Right as you saw there, O'Gara got such a great run. As I mentioned earlier, every time you attack, every time you defend, all of it just makes you lose time. Your competitors behind you end up closing up. And just like that, we're in a very clear three-car battle for the win. Very, very fine margins between every single one of them, but that was quite a move through the 180.
Yeah, and it looks like our head flagger, Adam Boros, does have the white and the checker in his hands. We'll see. Will they get 2 to go this time by, or will there be just enough time for 3?
Here we go onto the back straight right out of Death Valley. It seems like Gaddis does not have quite the run through there that Taylor and O'Gara have. O'Gara gives him a little tap on the bumper, but as we go through the 180, it doesn't seem like anybody's quite close enough to make a lunge through there, but it did seem like Gaddis had a much better mid-corner there, closed up on Taylor a little bit.
And we are going to get the popsicle sticks. 2 to go for Austin Taylor. Can he hold off his teammate Dominic Gaddis and a hard-charging Danny O'Gara? Something else we need to watch out for. We do have 2 slower cars in front of them. I think lap traffic may be the deciding factor here.
Yeah, it was close there with the clock, but ended up being 2 to go on this lap. And I would certainly agree that these karts that they're about to come up on lapping very well might play a role in this, as we do see a little bit of pressure there that Gaddis is putting on Taylor. Maybe a little bit of a look down on the inside here as we go on the back straight, and yet again, Gaddis does not seem to be having quite as good of a run as Taylor through there.
Gaddis not quite able to close up through the Daytona. I mean, he's getting close enough not to lose the draft base right there. And now as they come exit there into the middle oval, we do have the lap cars right in front of them. Who can get through smooth? Who can get through the fastest? This is it as we come to white flag. White flag, Austin Taylor, lap car right in front of him. Austin Taylor goes to the outside. Oh, gets squeezed, but still makes it by. Taylor's still a point. Gaddis P2, O'Gara 3, all three safely through, but it's not done yet as they do have another slower kart in front of them.
Yeah, still 2 more lapped karts right in front of them that are definitely going to play a role into the conclusion of this race. It was really, really close there through the first corner.
Looking to over under the slower car stays to the inside. Taylor's getting by.
As O'Gara goes side by side through there.
And there's yet another one right here as we come through Daytona corner. Who can get through? Austin Taylor goes to the inside. Gaddis and O'Gara try to follow. Get through cleanly. It is going to be a setup. Remember, Dominic Gaddis made a pass in this oval to win the heat race. Will he do the same here?
He goes for it.
He goes for it. He gets it. Coming to the checkered flag, Dominic Gaddis is your 206 Sportsman winner. Austin Taylor P2, Danny O'Gara P3. What an exciting finish as we have Dalton Sears and Will Feistinger rounding out your top 5. What a finish, Stuart. Lap traffic really did play a big part in that, but kudos to both the karts getting lapped and our top 3 for getting through safely without incident. And tell you what, Dominic Gaddis knows where to put his kart in that middle oval section. He's the only one I've seen make that pass today.
Yeah, it's a really, really difficult place to be trying to pass there, but he knew how to do it. He's shown that he's done it multiple times now, and he really capitalized on it. I think it was really waiting for that last moment to make sure that he could not get passed again by Taylor there at the end, but quite an incredible finish, really down to the wire, and for O'Gara, just did not seem like it was able to come together there at the end, you know, with the lap traffic. I'd say overall, over the entire course of the lap, it kind of gave everybody the same, you know, benefits and difficulties throughout the entirety of the lap. I think at different points, all of them kind of experienced a little bit of slowdown from that, but then, you know, each of them, I'd say there wasn't any one kart that was necessarily unfairly impacted by the lap traffic, but it was really interesting to see how that played a role in there. And as you get to the closing stages of these longer races, it's inevitable. Even though if there's not that big of a pace difference between the first and the last place drivers, just over time, with the length of these races, you're going to get lap traffic. So it's something you have to anticipate, it's something you have to plan for, and when it does happen, even if it's at a very inopportune point in the racetrack, like over there in Death Valley, you just have to make the most of it and make sure that you don't lose too much time, because it could end up costing you the race.
Absolutely. And once again, it was Dominic Gaddis taking home the top step of the podium today. Austin Taylor P2, Danny O'Gara P3, Dalton Sears, Will Feistinger round out your top 5. Dylan Thomas, Titus Roberts, Hayden Lawson, Jordan Lapin, Lincoln Willie, your top 10, with Hendrickson, Wade, Peebles, Stoner, Call, Martinez, Zeal, Schnettler, and Robbins rounding out your field. And don't look now, but it's time for the 206 Cadets for their final.
Yeah, just like that, we already got one final underway. Quite eventful. We're going to have to see how this second final goes as well, as they do get the signal to slow down here, as well as a nice blinking light on the right-hand side of your screen right now that is letting them know to go slow, to form up.
Yep, it's going to be Lie Simonelik and Reagan Hodges on your front row. These two had a great battle for the win in the heat races, and we are green. Looks like we're going to make it safely. Oh, no, never mind. We got a car around. That looks like it is going to be the 27 of Enzo Signer, who unfortunately spun it there, but still early in the race, make up some ground. Up front, it was Simonelik who was able to get the jump out of turn 1, and he's going to into Daytona leading lap 1 with Reagan Hodges behind him. Kyler Hendrickson, P3, Jackson McNeely, P4, and Brett Hastings, who was running P3 in the heat race and then had that unfortunate incident in turn 1, is able to make it up to 5 before the first lap comes soon in.
Yeah, what's going to be critical for Hodges' race this time around is that in the heat, if I remember correctly, she was caught behind. I don't remember exactly who she was caught behind, but it ended up taking away from her time that she might have been able to put more pressure on Simon Ellick just with having to battle. And you can already see that right now Reagan Hodges is getting right up to the bumper of Liat Simon Ellick, even though we're only going through our first laps.
Definitely be interesting to see her thought process here. Is she going to be content to ride around in second for a majority of this race? Or is she going to make the move and say, I want to be the one leading this thing as much as I can?
Yeah, it's always hard to tell. You don't want to show your cards too early. You never know when your competitor might learn from them. You make a move too early, then they know where to defend on the next laps, and especially so early on in the race, it's got to be a calculated decision. You have to think it through. And if you really do believe that you have enough pace to run away with it, then of course make the pass at the earliest opportunity. But when it's so close like we've seen between these two, it's really going to be a tactical game of where exactly you're going to want to pass.
Meanwhile, we got a good battle for third shaping up between Hendrickson, McNeely, and Hastings. Hastings is faster, but right now he's going to stay behind McNeely. He's going to look, and he makes a move into turn one, put Hastings to P4.
Already we can see it just throughout the field. We've already separated out into different packs here. We have the battle for first and second. We have the battle for first as right there we get a move for third place coming out of the Death Valley corners.
Yeah, put Brett Hastings back up to P3. He would already want to be here. He was fast in practice qualifying the heat race, had the incident in turn one, had to start last in the field, but he is already up to a podium position and looking to run away from Hendrickson and McNeely.
Yeah, look at the gap that he's already pulled on the two of them, even though he only overtook them in the Death Valley corners. That's an impressive gap to pull just from a straightaway in the 180 and then the few corners after that, already making a statement with the pace that he has.
Yeah, already opened up almost a second gap on Kyler Hendrickson. Hendrickson has McNeely right behind him, so hopefully McNeely can give him a push and get him back up there, but based on their lap time so far, it looks like Hastings will be able to run away.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of a look from Hodges there on Simon Ellick for first, if she does also run a little bit wider through there, and that might just be how she likes to take a line. Still staying pretty close between the two as they approach the 180.
Hodges definitely gets the better run, exiting the 180 on that first part, but then that second left really been catching people out all day. She loses a little bit of ground there, but then once again, she's stronger through the middle oval. Right on his back bumper as they go. She's going to peek to the inside, thinks better of it. She's content to ride for now.
Yeah, as she does make a little bit of a look here, almost was able to go for it, just a little bit too far behind. An increasing growing gap here for Brett Hastings, just running away from Hendrickson and McNeely there in 4th and 5th. It seems like too big of a gap to end up closing to Hodges. He seems to be kind of stuck in no man's land right now, but it will be interesting to see how that plays out.
For Hastings, he would have liked to get around the rest of this pack faster. Just quite couldn't get it on these starts. Especially at the younger group, a lot of people, they don't know exactly when it's okay to put their cart, where to put it, when to pass, but now Hastings is past there and he's going to do everything he can to increase.
Yeah, as we see a lot, that's always critical here at Whiteland Raceway, since this is, for so many young kids where they learn a lot of these skills, and also, learning those recovery skills, learning how to make their way back up the field, because even though he'd obviously like to be in this battle for first, a third place finish, even if he does end up only finishing there, is still a solid points haul from the weekend.
Points haul and a trophy haul.
Yes, can't forget the trophy, of course.
Looks like Simon Ellick is able to grow that gap just a little bit through there. Once again, Hodges gets the first part of the 180 sector down right, but then that second left, it just catches her out a little bit. That rear end just wants to snap just enough. But then she makes up for it coming through that middle oval section as she closes back up.
Yeah, going to be interesting to see here as the clock is right about at 4 minutes, getting through the halfway point of this race. Going to be interesting to see if we see a lot of these positions holding or if we see any moves. But as you can see there, right in front of our battle for the lead, we do have a kart that's going slower. So
oh, and we have contact and 2 karts in the grass exiting the 180 sector. That looks like it is Christopher Heinzen and Grace Geist. Don't know what quite happened there as we were looking to see the gap between the lap cars and the leader. Track workers over there as Enzo gets a little loose right in front of the leaders as well. This is going to be interesting coming through the middle oval section. Where is Signer going to go? Head flagger going to show the blue flag. Simonella goes to the inside and Hodges will follow. They dispatch a Signer with no issues. The lap car did allow Hodges to re-close that gap, and she is right there on Liette Simonellic, hoping to get it done as we have about 3 minutes and 2 laps remaining.
So if you turn your attention to the bottom right of your screen right here, you can see that there was just a bit of a mistake there from the cart, and then it went off, and then both of them ended up tangling, both ending up in the grass, and neither were able to recover it back onto the track, so that's what caused that yellow flag.
Unfortunate in these young classes, especially the 206 cadet. Like we've talked about many times, this is the first step out of kid kart, so you really need seat time. Seat time's the most important thing, so you hate to see it for those 2 young drivers.
Yeah, and you can see them standing there in the left corner, left-hand side of your screen. Yeah, they just, unfortunately, an early into their race.
Meanwhile, if we look back at third, it looks like the gap between Hastings and 4th place Kyler Hendrickson has shrinked quite a bit. I don't know if what happened there, but it looks like Hendrickson and McNeely are closing back up on Hastings.
Yeah, we could see a much closer battle for third here, as that did close a lot. And yeah, like you said, not exactly sure what happened there, but it seems like the pressure is starting to get put on a little bit.
Looking back to the leader, Simonellic has increased that gap yet again. This time Hodges better through both sectors of the 180 turn. Coming through the middle oval, will she be close enough to get a run? Not quite, she is. That gap is staying pretty steady at about 0.4 of a second. Meanwhile, our battle for third is about to get interesting as they are coming up on the lapped car of Enzo Signer.
Going to be interesting to see here if this ends up playing a role, but it does seem like
Hastings goes to the outside, gets by with no issue. The other 2 go to the inside, and it looks like McNeely's going to make a move on Hendrickson. Can't get it done.
Yeah, really unfortunate for the 2 of them there. It seemed like they got the short end of the stick in terms of just when Enzo ended up moving to the right side of the track, kind of closed him off there and ended up losing time to Hastings. Just a bit over 30 seconds on the clock here as we get the 2 to go signal.
2 laps to go here for Liette Simonellic as he has Reagan Hodges right on his rear bumper. Hendrickson and McNeely still try and chase down Hastings for that final spot on the podium.
Definitely look from Reagan there on the inside of Simonellic.
This is the closest Hodges has been on Simonellic in some time. When you see those popsicle sticks, the checkered and the white together, you know it's go time. Push as hard as you can. It is time to make your move. You've been studying all race. Where is he going to go? What does he like to do? Make it count.
Yeah, and what's critical also for Liette is in the front there, just making sure to look back and see where is Reagan Hodges closing the gap? Where is she putting the pressure on? Because from that's where he's been learning on where to defend as she continues to close the gap a lot in this middle sector. This is where she really has it on him. And we're going to have to see here as we get ready to take the white flag on our last lap around the track.
Yeah, very interested to see the 180 sector this time by. Look, last lap, Simonellic made a little bit of a mistake there, a little bit too wide, got a little squirrely. Just looks to the inside, can't quite get it done.
Yeah, she's looked there almost every single lap, pulling out, maybe just trying to make that work, but it just doesn't seem like she can quite get it.
Through Death Valley Complex, Sonelik right now has a nice little gap. Can she close it with the draft?
Significant gap between the two of them now. Not quite sure exactly what happened there. Maybe she just didn't get a great exit out of the Death Valley set of corners, but she seems to be a lot further back than she was on previous laps.
She gets a good run out of here, but I don't think it's going to be enough unless she tries a last-minute dive bomb into the middle oval. Not enough time. Reagan Hodges is going to run out of time, and Liette Simonelik is going to win your 206 Cadet Heat. Reagan Hodges P2, and now we turn our attention to the battle for third. Hastings does have quite a gap to fourth place Kyler Hendrickson with McNeely right behind him. Coming through the middle oval, smooth hands from Brett Hastings. Looks like McNeely takes a look on Hendrickson. Not going to happen. Hastings third, Hendrickson fourth, McNeely P5.
Yeah, I'd be really curious to see exactly what happened with Hastings there. If it was a specific mistake or if it was just lap time that fell off over a number of laps and those behind just kind of starting to close up. But it almost was quite a bit of pressure on him. It seemed like he did catch a bit of a break there with that blue flag traffic there that ended up slowing him down, or slowing the Hendrickson and McNeely down, and that made sure that he wasn't pressured too much. So
yeah, Hastings able to hold off there. Enzo Siners go across the line P6, and Christopher Heinzen and Grace Geis are going to round out your field. Again, unfortunate incident for those two in the 180 sector.
All right, that was your 206 Cadet Final, and we will join you right back after this commercial break.
Welcome to the Kart Indianapolis experience at Whiteland Raceway Park. Indy's premier outdoor karting circuit, Whiteland Raceway Park is just 20 minutes south of downtown Indy and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Our trackside event center and high-speed go-karts make Whiteland Raceway Park the perfect destination for your next event or party. Stop in today or book your race online at racewrp.com and experience real racing right here in Indy.
Back to Whiteland Raceway Park as we have our 206 medium leading the grid for their final. This was a very tight battle between Levi Wilbur and Eli Fox in the heat race. Saw Wilbur taking home the checkered flag. So Wilbur P1, Fox P2, followed by Jared Howerton, Braden Johnson, Dylan Howerton, Evan McCorkadale, Cammy Pfister, Braden Mayfield, Gage Justiniano, and then Brady Sappenfield, rounding out your starting grid.
Yeah, they absolutely flew out of the grid there, and now they're really having to slow down to hopefully be able to form up. And it does look like they are going to be able to do it. Still some weaving in the back, and the number 4 finally catching up to the rest of the pack as they go very slow within the tram lines here. We're going to wait and see if we can get the green. And it does look like we are getting the green this time by. So it does appear that our pole sitter does hold on to the lead as we get a Kart going around.
It looks like that is going to unfortunately be the 551 of Cammy Pfister. Don't know exactly what happened there, but unfortunate for her, as now everyone else is grouped up and she is all alone.
Yeah, luckily she was able to keep going there. Almost got beached there between the asphalt and the grass. But luckily she was able to continue that momentum and get back onto the track, even if it is far from the tail.
up front, Jared Howerton had an amazing start, and he is going to be leading the field as they come to the 180 complex. It looks like Eli Fox, don't know exactly what happened to him on the start, but he's going to drop all the way back to number 5. Fox makes a move on McCorkadale in the inner oval. He likes to pass there as well. He's another one just like Gaddis that knows how to make his kart work down there. McCorkadale looks to the inside, going to back out and follow for now. Howerton, Wilbur, Johnson, your top 3 as this race is just getting started.
If you take a look in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen here, this is our review of the start. Again, the review of the start, so we can kind of see what ended up happening here. Just a lot of really close contact between the mid-pack there, but a little bit of a look from that one black cart into here, as we're going to go back and just watch that one more time as to what exactly happened there. And that contact there on the inside bumper ended up, it was almost 4 wide there, and then just because of that spin, ended up going pretty far off. And then as they were recovering to the track, you can see kind of got in the grass and ended up doing a bit of a half spin after that, but luckily they ended up able to keep going. So that was our review of the start.
Meanwhile, back on track, it is Eli Fox making another pass back towards the starting position as he gets around Braden Johnson in turn 1 for Pete number 3. Jared Howerton and Levi Wilbur still out front, but now that Fox is in front of that group, I think that they will get up there and make this a 5-kart race very soon.
A lot of talented drivers in this field, so it's going to be interesting to see exactly how this pans out.
Fox definitely able to close that gap just a little bit. It was over a second last time between second and third, and now it's down to 8/10. Fox really wants Braden Johnson to start working with him and pushing him back up towards that front group. Definitely looked like Fox had a better exit out of Death Valley, but he just doesn't have someone hooked to his rear bumper like Howerton has. Howerton and Wilbur, if they stay hooked to like this and Johnson can't get up to Fox, then Fox is going to have to really dig in his heels and go.
Yeah, everyone here is a smart racer, and Wilbur and Howerton know that as long as they can start building a gap to Fox, Johnson, and McCorkadale behind them, and they're going to be safe for their battle that's at this point inevitable. But it does look like on this last time by, the gap between Wilbur and Howerton was 2.5 tenths, and then between Fox and Wilbur was just 4 tenths. Same gaps about between McCorkadale and Johnson.
Oh, and we have a car, little jaunt through the grass. Looks like Brady Sappenfield just ran wide there, gets back on track, no issues there. Fox was able to close that gap by about 2 tenths. That's the one upside of not really having anyone right in front of you or right behind you. You may not have as strong of a draft effect, but you can really get through the tight sections a lot better, a lot cleaner. You can run your line. You don't have to worry about what the driver in front or behind you is doing. That has allowed Fox to really close this gap.
Yeah, exactly. That little bit of added pressure of having to also consider, all right, where's going to be the best to potentially set up a defense, or where might I get overtaken? If there's not somebody who's right in front of you or behind you, you have the whole track clear to yourself. Take whatever line you're most comfortable with, whatever line you're fastest with, which is not always necessarily the same between all the competitors.
That time by gaps stay relatively the same, still 2.5 tenths for Wilbur to Howerton and 6 tenths from Fox to Howerton. So they are all still right there. But this time Fox gets a great run entering the Death Valley complex. Can he get a good exit here? He does get a good exit, but he doesn't quite have to get up and go because he's not quite up enough in the draft that Howerton has. Coming through the middle oval, Fox has really closed that gap. He is within 0.2 of Wilbur. And Braden Johnson's starting to close in as well. He really needs Dylan Howerton and McCorkadell to push to get up to him. And if that happens, we will be in for an exciting last couple laps of this race. This time Fox able to stay close enough to really get a good draft effect entering through Daytona into the 180 complex. Gonna get a good run through there, and he is going to suck up right to Levi Wilbur's rear bumper.
Yeah, what we've really ended up seeing happening here as he does make a move down on the inside, almost a little bit of off-track action there, but so far positions are going to stay the same. It's still Howerton, Wilbur, and then Fox, but what I was right about to say there is we really were just starting to get two separate packs of three, one for the battle of the lead and one for a battle for that fourth place, but after that little side-by-side action between Wilbur and Fox, they have fallen away from Howerton some, and that does seem to be bringing everybody who's in that 4th through 6th battle a little bit more in contention there.
Fox makes a move on Wilbur going into Death Valley. Wilbur tries to over-under, can't quite get it done. Put Fox P2 as they draft down the straightaway. This is going to bring Braden Johnson and Dylan Howerton right up in it too. Evan McCorkadell, he's going to be in P6, but he has a big gap to catch up if he wants to make it to this group.
At this point, we can confidently say we have a 4-kart battle for second, and just with a little bit of closing up to the leader there, that we are going to also really make this a battle for first. But the question is, all this battling, all this fighting, like we've said so many times before, it loses you time. And for Howerton to be able to not have to worry about any of that in comparison to the rest of his competitors, he might just get away with being able to start to break the draft, start to run away with this race, as we are, past the halfway point. 2 minutes on the clock. Not a ton of time left, too.
Not a ton of time, but Fox and Wilbur are both experienced. They have a lot of laps across the Midwest. They know they're not going to have a chance at the first place trophy if they keep battling. I expect them to work together for at least 2 more laps before we really start trying to make moves. Because if you start, like you said, passing and all that, Howerton's going to walk away. And it looked like they were able to close that gap by pushing last lap.
Yeah, certainly, and it does seem like we're starting to really get just this 5-kart battle up in the front. It just is really going to depend on if Johnson can hold on to the rest of them. At the very least, we do have these 3 karts at the front, Howerton, Fox, and Wilbur, going really tight here through the Death Valley set of corners.
Fox makes a lunge on Howerton on the inside. He goes. Howerton, is he going to be able to complete the over-under? Howerton able to defend and hold off Fox, but that's going to scrub a whole lot of speed exit. And Fox is still right there on the bumper, and this is going to help Howerton and Johnson catch up. This is going to be a 5-kart battle to the finish.
Yeah, incredible defending there and through what was critical, as we do see a significant move to the inside there as Fox really pushing Howerton there in first place, as we are solidly in a 5-kart battle for the lead here with just over
2 laps to go as they come. Wilbur on the inside, Johnson on the outside. 3 wide through the little kink, and it looks like Howerton might be on the inside going on Wilbur. Can he get it done? Put Howerton to P3. Johnson is going to skate by 2. Drop Levi Wilbur all the way back to 5th.
That was quite an interesting sequence of events there, as it does seem that now we do have this significant gap between the battle for first and the battle for third. A lot of movement between a lot of different drivers there, but now that Fox is right on the back of Howerton, we are certainly going to see an interesting finish to this race.
Yeah, Fox on the back of Howerton, and then you have Wilbur on the back of Johnson, with Dylan just kind of by himself a little bit in P3. But he knows those 2 behind him are going to go as they exit the 180 complex into the middle oval. Howerton right now has point. Fox stays tucked up as they get the white flag. Fox all over the rear bumper of Howerton. Will he make a move? Howerton goes to the inside looking for the defensive line. Fox is going to back out, try to get a better exit out of 1. Entering Death Valley. Fox just looking for a gap, looking for any bit of daylight that he can make on Howerton to get this done. Meanwhile, Johnson and Wilbur have caught up to the back of Dylan Howerton. Fox looking for an over-under on Jared Howerton. Can he get it done? Not quite yet, but he's going and looking on the inside, and they hold it. They're going to be going too wide through the switchback. Fox on the inside. Looks like Howerton may have touched the curb there and gets a little loose. Now it's going to be Fox coming through here out of the 180 sequence. Jared Howerton all over his rear end. Can he do some payback and get an inside pass in the middle oval? He does it. Fox defends it well. Coming through there, it's going to be Eli Fox winning your 206 medium feature. Jared Howerton P2, Dylan Howerton 3rd, Braden Johnson 4th, and Levi Wilbur 5th.
Yeah, absolutely incredible racing there. Fox making quite the move before the banked corner. As we get ready to do a review of some of these overtakes within the last couple of laps.
What just an exciting finish. We said at the very beginning, anyone really in this top 5, top 6 would be able to come out, as we are looking at a replay there on the pass from Fox on Howerton. Howerton goes a little wide, tries to diamond it off. Fox has a great run through here. Just tucks up right on Howerton's bumper, and he knows where he likes to pass.
Yeah, quite the move that we ended up seeing there, and really throughout all of this, especially when we're seeing this battle for 3rd there, as we're going to go back here for just a second to look at that one more time. It was really tight between all of them. I mean, at this point in the race, it was any one of these 5 could end up really capitalizing on everything that was happening. There was just so much happening in a short period of time. If the leaders made any kind of mistake, then there would have been the chance for, for other people to end up capitalizing on all that. So, yeah, that was really impressive from all of them.
Yeah, just a great battle. We always get some really hard fighting in our 206 medium. So once again, congratulations Eli Fox on winning the race. Rest of your field: Evan McCorkadell P6, Gage Justiniano P7, Braden Mayfield, Brady Sappenfield, and Cami Pfister will round out your field.
We're at a commercial break.
All right, welcome back from that quick commercial break, as we're still here reviewing the incident here on the second to the last lap, just kind of trying to see if everything was completely clean there between all the competitors. Quite an impressive move to try and be pulling on the 180, definitely very late though, and I believe what we're looking at here is that little bit of contact that caused the cart there on the outside to go a little bit wide, and just trying to check all the legality of that, at what point the carts were in the corner, if all of that was fair.
Meanwhile, our 206 juniors are leaving the grid, ready for their final. Got Adler Klein, who just absolutely walked away from the field on his heat race. He's going to lead the field to green, followed by Jackson Stone, Gabriel Payne, Easton Shores, Carson Benjamin, Thomas Anthony, Lucian Laser, Nico Santos, Colin Harden, Lucas Randolph, and Mason Ward.
Yeah, all the carts are supposed to be forming up here. Quite a bit of a spread here, as everybody is finally starting to bunch up, get ready for this start here.
Little bit of the checkup there coming out of the oval, getting everyone slowed down. They're entering their tram lines, and we are green for 206 junior final. Through turn 1, everyone makes it through 1 cleanly. 2 and 3 wide though. They're going to hold it on the inside. And it looks like Jackson Stone just had a terrible start outside pole, and looks like he's going to drop all the way back to P6.
Yeah, from a look there at the start, for me, that did end up seeming to be just that he got caught very far on the outside. Not a ton that he was able to do there to be able to not lose those positions. So really interesting to see just such a loss that early on in the race.
Right now, as we enter the 180 compound, it looks like Adler Klein is once again on a Sunday drive, as he has a significant gap on the field as they come through middle oval section. Adler Klein coming to complete lap number 1, and he is going to have almost a 1.5 second lead over Gabriel Payne and Carson Benjamin in second and third. Second, third, fourth, fifth, all in a tight-knit group. They are going to do everything that they can to try to chase down Klein. Klein has been the dominant 206 junior driver all day today, and as of now, it doesn't look like that's going to change. Through the switchback into Daytona corner, Thomas Anthony all over the rear end of Payne, trying to push him, trying to draft. Anthony looks to the inside. Can he get it done side by side? Anthony gets the pass, put Thomas Anthony to P2.
Yeah, as you can see here in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, this is just an example of exactly what ended up happening there on the outside there. Just really unfortunate set of circumstances. Didn't seem like he just got the start that was needed, and then lots of karts there that seemed to be, third and fifth on back that just ended up kind of capitalizing on that outside trim line, just going a lot slower.
Line still at the point, significant gap over Anthony. Anthony trying to create a little gap over Gabriel Payne, but if Carson Benjamin can work together with Payne, they'll be able to catch right back up to Anthony. Then you got Lucian Laser in P5, Jackson Stone. That bad start's going to still keep him back in 6th. A little bit of gap between him and 7th place Eastern Shores. And then we do have at the tail half of the field also could get a pretty good battle coming up. You're looking at 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th right there.
Yeah, it just seems like for Klein in the lead here that just after all of that, a significant gap. I mean, that time by, we're looking at a little over 2 seconds flat. So that's a significant gap to be having this early on in the race. We still have 7 minutes left on the clock.
It may be a 2 second gap, but that time by, Thomas Anthony went purple with a 55.865. However, it's only about 0.3 faster than Klein. So Anthony's really going to have to be on his game, really dig in if he wants to catch up to Klein. He is, however, putting a nice little gap between himself and third place Gabriel Payne.
As we do see a move there, that was the... Yeah, that was a 63 on with quite a move there through the Death Valley set of corners.
Up the line, let's see if Anthony was able to eat into this gap at all. Last time by, it was 2 seconds. This time by, he did gain 1.7 seconds behind. He's gaining about 0.3 a lap, and he actually went purple yet again with a 55.607.
Yeah, Klein was only with a 55.982 that lap, so it's going to be really interesting to see here what exactly is going on for Klein. Is he going to be able to hold up this first place? Is he going to be able to pick up the pace a little bit? Both of them are running in relatively clean air there, not too much for either of them. Not too many karts very close to either of them, so it's going to be really interesting to see just who has the most raw pace right now, up until, of course, Anthony is going to get closer and closer into the draft, and that's going to have more of an effect on the laps.
Behind them, though, that battle for third is heating up as 5th and 6th place are able, 6th and 7th are able to close up, so it's 3rd through 7th, throw a blanket over him. Gabriel Payne leading the second group. Looks like he's got Carson Benjamin behind him, Lucian Laser, Jackson Stone, and then Eastern Shores.
Yeah, it looks like a move down on the inside into the first corner, and he was able to make it stick.
Put Benjamin to P4. However, Payne's not going to give up easy. He's going to look for it. Not able to get it done. Put Payne off the podium and back to P4. Meanwhile, we also see another pass as it looks like it's Easton Shores able to get around Jackson Stone for 6th.
Yeah, as we see so often there, when you have a big group of karts like that, one little mistake, one little, battle, and then all of a sudden you can start really losing momentum. Losing one place can suddenly turn into losing 4. So it's just really critical to make sure that you can hold on to those positions even when there are so many karts right together like that.
don't look now, but Thomas Anthony has significantly closed that gap on Adler Klein. This time by, it was almost half a second. Thomas Anthony has really dug in. He wants this victory. After not being able to do the practice and qualifying due to some motor issues, he is making it known that he is here to race today.
And something else that was of interest is it does seem like there was a car that was off there right through the Death Valley set of corners. Not entirely sure who that was. Luckily, the track monitors were able to recover that before the
And it's Anthony. Anthony to the inside, exiting Death Valley. Thomas Anthony to the point. Sorry to interrupt you, Stuart, but that was a great pass.
Yeah, you're right. Quite an impressive move there.
And it looks like we do unfortunately have one retirement. It is going to be Kart number 11 of Colin Harden is going to be pulling off the track. Coming to the line just under 4 minutes ago. Anthony at the point, Adler Klein right behind him. Carson Benjamin able to open up a gap between third and fourth. We'll definitely see what Klein is choosing to do this race all day long. He hasn't really had to fight. So what will he do? What can he do now that he has a rabbit to chase?
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be the draft. That's going to be really important here as we get onto the back straight. They've been maintaining a relatively close gap between all these corners, but it does seem that Anthony just was able to get a better launch out of the Death Valley set of corners going into the banked corner here before we get to the 180.
Meanwhile, that battle for fourth is still fierce between Gabriel Payne and Shin Laser. Curious to see the gap this time between Anthony and Klein. Last time it was a 1/10 and a half. This time 2/10. Looks like Anthony able to get a little bit better exit through the second half of this track. Looks like Klein might be a little better in Death Valley, but he's really gonna have to be on his game if he wants to take them.
Yeah, I mean, we've just seen how close they are through all these corners. In these corners, it's really where you have to make the passing opportunity work. You know, throughout the rest of the lap, they're just so close, including through the corner, so it just makes you wonder how exactly will Klein be able to set up some kind of overtake here back for the lead. But you never know what he might be thinking about, what he might be studying. We still have 2 minutes left to go, so a decent amount of time, even though we are starting to get into the closing stages, so still might be holding back a little bit just to make the exact right time, but it's going to be interesting to see how this race ends up closing out, as we still have quite the battle for fourth going on.
Yeah, 4th through 7th, all nose to tail. Payne, Laser, Shores, and Stone. Everyone wants to get farther on the podium. Yeah, you want to work together to get closer to third, but it's getting late in this race, Stuart. In my opinion, if you're 6th, 7th, 5th, you need to start making moves now if you want any chance.
Yeah, there's no point in holding back anymore, because even though you might be trying to eye on third place, I mean, at this point, your best bet is just to even try and get to that fourth. So, yeah, we're going to see starting to see just a change in attitude from all the drivers, of course, as the final starts to come to a close. There's very little time remaining. You just have to make your moves now, because you never know. You can't. I mean, there's just not much you can plan ahead for at this point. I mean, it's all now. You're out of time.
Out of time. Thomas Anthony still point line right there. We're looking at our head flag, and it looks like we are going to go 2 laps to go here as they cross the line. Double sticks in the air. Thomas Anthony, Adler Klein, who will be able to bring home the top step of the podium today.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see that it did seem that Klein was, you know, bumping the back of Anthony a little bit through that middle sector, right before through that end sector of corners there. So it's going to be interesting to see as we get to the closing stages. Might that be where he tries to set up some kind of overtake?
Very well could be. It seemed like that's definitely his better set of corners out here. Anthony does create a little bit of a gap coming through the switchback into Daytona corner. Looks over his shoulder, sees exactly where Klein is, knows exactly what gap he has, and he just has to put his head down and drive.
Yeah, it seemed to be that whatever Anthony did there in the Death Valley set of corners was able to just grow enough of a gap that there wasn't that same kind of pressure that Klein was able to put on that previous lap. Look back there from Anthony to make sure that Klein wasn't making any kind of move, but it just seems like too far back to really do much at this point.
Yeah, just a little too far back. We'll see how the Death Valley complex goes. Klein has to hit his marks just perfectly to get into range of that draft. Really get the great slipstream coming into the backstretch.
And I did see out of the corner of my eye some side-by-side action there for 4th place into the first corner.
Yeah, it looks like Gabriel Payne right now trying to hold off Lucian Laser. Laser is going to get by there. We turn our attention back to the leaders. Anthony has a decent gap as he exits the 180 complex. Looks like Klein's going to get a little loose there. And oh no, Klein is off.
Oh my gosh.
Something went wrong with Adler Klein, and he has just thrown away 2nd place. This makes this, what was battle for 4th, even more important.
Yeah,
so
we see multiple carts going
two
off.
carts around, and it looks like that's going to be Gabriel Payne stuck in the grass. Put Lucian Laser in P3. Can he hold off Easton Shores? Yes, he can. Gabriel Payne walks away with P3 after all that.
Yeah, what we were really able to see there throughout all of that is that in the background, what might not have been apparent in the broadcast is that battle for what was 4th at the time, people going side by side before going into the banked corner, which was pretty impressive as we do get ready to just kind of see what ends up happening here, going to a replay here in just a second. So we're going to go to the replay now and just see what ended up happening here. So coming out of the 180, we saw the kart get a little bit sideways, and then it just seemed completely on its own. Not quite sure if that was a mechanical failure or something, just going straight off into the last sector of corners over there that just ended up completely ruining the race. I mean, I'd assume that's what happened, but then we can see that whole incident there. What exactly happened? It's a little bit hard to tell from this angle, so we're going to switch to this angle just to try and get a better overview of what exactly happened. Maybe we can take away the timing tower on the left-hand side of the screen so we're able to see that. But yeah, it just seemed like, a lot of carts going in there, a lot of that side-by-side action still going on, and then somebody just being on the outside of the corner, maybe a little bit of contact that might have ended up causing that. Not quite sure from this angle, and then the carts just getting up on top of each other afterwards. So we can see the aftermath of it from this angle here on just the spin and carts going slower than carts getting up on top of each other just because everybody was so close there. But quite a chaotic finish for that race.
Yeah, very chaotic. Heartbreak there for Gabriel Payne, but if you're Lucian Laser or Easton Shores, you're very thankful and grateful that you guys didn't get hooked together and come to a stop. But congrats, Thomas Anthony. Even if Adler Klein didn't go off there on that last lap, I think Thomas had it. He really drove hard. So Thomas Anthony, your winner. Carson Benjamin, P2. Lucian Laser, P3. Easton Shores, Jackson Stone, Evan Patton, Nico Santos, Mason Ward, Lucas Randolph, Adler Klein rounding out your top 10 with Gabriel Payne and Colin Harden finishing 11th.
Yeah, that race was a great example of, I mean, you just have to be in it all the way up into the last lap. What looked like was just going to be a, simple battle for 4th ended up, actually being a podium spot just because of all that happened within the last set of corners on the very last lap of the race. You just have to be prepared as a driver for whatever opportunities might come your way, because you never know when a position that you might not think is that important could turn into an even more significant points haul. And then for us watching along, it's just even more of a reason you got to pay attention all the way to the very end, because you never know what might end up looking like a pretty secure 2nd place ends up turning into a 10th place finish. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we'll see you back here in a minute.
So you will finally want to get behind the wheel, huh?
Yeah, I've been shooting for 3 years and I've never got to drive.
Well, you're going to need some more gear than just your helmet. Why don't you go to shopakr.com. They got their inventory online and they'll ship it the same day if you order before 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
They got shoes?
Yep.
Gloves?
Yep.
Rip protectors?
Got those too.
Can they make me go fast?
No.
Here at Acceleration Kart Racing, we've got everything you need to get on track. What happens next? Well, that's on you. Check us out online at shopakr.com.
All right, welcome back to Whiteland Raceway Park as we are getting ready to go green for your 206 Masters Final. Matt Geist, Jamie Bradford on the front row, Troy, Tony, Melvin Godzi, row 2, Michael Baden, BJ Schnettler in the final row. Waiting for the green flag, and we are green. Through turn 1, that inside line really got a good jump there. Bradford really kind of spun his tires, and he's going to drop all the way back to 3rd.
Yeah, it's been really interesting to see here. In a number of the last races, it just seems like that inside line has not been able to start well. Not sure if that's just something about the track or just, you know, the way that all of this has been working today, or maybe just who's been in the second place starting positions, not maybe getting the best of jumps possible through there, but it just seems like relatively consistently within the past few races, that inside line is just not getting the start that's needed to stay competitive into the first set of corners.
Really interesting about the starts, and I'm glad you mentioned that, is we have a start box here. So we have 2 sets of tall cones when you're coming down, and when you get into those cones, once you pass those cones, anywhere in that set you can go. So maybe it's a little bit of mind games by someone very experienced like Matt Geist.
Yeah, obviously the start's one of the most critical parts of the races. And ultimately, the interesting thing I would say is that it can't always make your race, but it certainly can break your race. If you end up spinning, if you end up crashing, then you're done. You haven't even made it through the first corner. So it's just really interesting to see, you know, how exactly that ends up playing out, because you obviously don't want to lose too many positions. It's always nice to gain them, but with such a long race ahead of you, you can't put too much on the line. But yeah, those mind games in there, you go too early, you could get a penalty, and then that penalty could ruin whatever race that you have in front of you. So it's just very difficult, obviously one of the most challenging and critical parts of the race. Always interesting to see how that plays out.
Back on track, we did see Jamie Bradford make a pass on Troy Toney for position number 2, so making up his lost positions from the start. Very interesting to see if Bradford, Toney, and Godsey can work together to catch Matt Geist. See a little bit of a head tap from Bradford. He's telling me, push, push, push. We gotta catch this guy. If he runs away, we have no shot. Looks like a little bit of separation there building between Bradford and Toney, but Toney's going to get a good shove from Melvin Godsey and try to get them back right up there. Definitely seems like Toney and Godsey have a lot better exit through the 180 complex. This time by Matt Geist is going to have just a little over half a second gap on Jamie Bradford. As they exit over there, it looks like Bradford is able to close the gap even more. He's got Toney and Godsey right on his bumper, and they are going to suck up right to Matt Geist. It's now a 4-kart battle for the lead.
Yeah, it's crazy to say, but even at this point, we have two-thirds of this entire race in a battle for the lead, which is pretty exciting, pretty interesting to see how this ends up playing out. As over time, slowly being able to close that gap, as now we have a move for the lead. That's Bradford on Geist, I believe.
Yes, that is Bradford on Geist. It looks like Geist looked over at his motor for just a second, and that gave Bradford all he needed as a sign that it's time to go. Don't really know what Geist was doing, but he is still right there in contention, and all 4 of these guys super experienced, super fast. I don't think that's going to be the last pass of the season.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, Vince. I mean, with how close they have been throughout this entire race and how close they still are, even with these moves, it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. I mean, normally when you see moves like that, there, you know, with our younger groups, you might see a significant drop in time, right? Those lead karts maybe, you know, sacrificing so much of that time for these moves that all of a sudden then everybody's right on them, and, you know, even subsequent passes from there. But I think that whole, you know, sequence there in the first corner was really calculated from all of them, because you know, Geist wasn't able to lose so much momentum that he, you know, ended up dropping out to 4th or anything, you know, still holding on to 2nd. But as I say that, it does look like Toney was able to get around Geist there.
Yeah, Toney to P2. Godsey looked to try and take advantage of Geist as well, just couldn't get it done. Moved Matt Geist back to 3.
Yeah, again, the critical thing here is just managing your momentum, keeping it up. Glad to see that we still have a relatively close pack of these 4 karts here, but it's going to be interesting to see if Geist ends up dropping back any further.
Guys seem to get a really good exit out of the 180 complex, close right back up on the bumper of Tony ahead of him. Bradford's still going to lead us here, nose to tail as we cross the line with just under 5 minutes. Coming through the Death Valley complex, not much has changed. The gaps still pretty standard to where they were at. This time though, Godsey's going to give Geist a big shove down the straightaway, trying to will him forward to catch up to Troy Tony. Coming through the 180 sector, all of them just hitting their marks.
Yeah, as we start to get through here, forgot to mention that, you know, after discussing with some of the staff, I think we're going to call that the Stinger corner there with the B incident there yesterday, but we see lots of movement here as we get lots of side-by-side action going into the first corner, end up all straightening back out, but that was Geist moving down another position to P4.
Yeah, it all started with Troy Tony almost dipping a tire, exiting the middle oval section. Geist wanted to take advantage of it and couldn't get it done. Good, drop him back to 4th. And this is going to create a little bit of breathing room for Jamie Bradford, but I wouldn't get too comfortable just yet.
Yeah, that Stinger oval is certainly critical to, you know, that whole run immediately after that. And we really saw the effects of that as we start to get, you know, Bradford starting to get quite spread out, and Geist off the back of Godsey as well, just as this whole four-way battle for the lead just ends up getting spread out a little bit more this last lap.
This time by gap from Bradford to Tony, just over 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, it looks like Tony went fast this last lap, 55.743 that time by. But it's all really close between every single one of those in terms of the fastest laps. And it does seem that we'll see a close finish here with a little over 2 minutes left on the clock.
Now Godsey's back on the bumper of Tony. Geist a little ways out, but he's still going to get some of those effects of the draft, and he's going to try to close up as best as he can. Seems like of these 4, Geist gets the best exit out of the 180 complex. Right there, he's able to close back up.
Yeah, really interesting to see that it seems throughout a lot of the rest of the lap that he just ends up, you know, dropping off slightly, but just through that section able to make a lot of it back up before getting to the line.
Gap last time by, still just over 0.4 of a second, so not a lot of movement either way. All staying pretty consistent.
Yeah, I'd say overall though we're seeing a lot of them close back up again. Guys maybe just a little bit off in the back, but this is very, very tight between these top 3 right now, and I'm sure we're going to see the same thing we've seen every other lap with guys closing up through this middle sector through the Stinger oval.
Closes up just a little bit there. Tony all over the back bumper of Bradford this time as they come through the middle oval. Godsey's there too. Guys, like you said, just a little bit back as we come to 2 laps to go for Jamie and Bradford. Can he hold them off?
Yeah, 2 laps to go, and it's Bradford, Tony, Godsey, and Geist, and we're going to have to see.
Tony to the inside in turn 1. Can he get the pass done? Yes, he can. Put Troy Tony number 1. A little bit of contact to look there between Bradford and Godsey as Godsey wanted to follow him. Couldn't quite get the pass done.
Yeah, incredibly close between all of them, and we're just going to have to see, because really, even after all that, it does seem that, you know, that gap to the first place is still not that big. I think at this point, it's still any 4 of them in this.
And then that allowed Geist to close up a little bit. Still not quite where he wants to be. We'll see what can happen as we go through the 180 section. Looked like Bradford was able to close it up again right there. Closes right up to Tony's back bumper as they come through the Stinger Oval. Coming to take the white flag right now, it is Troy Tony in front, but he's got Jamie Bradford all over his back bumper.
Lots of pressure going into this last lap.
Bradford makes a move on the inside. Can he get it done? Yes, put Bradford back to the point. Tony's not done yet. He's going to fight back through turn 2. Godzi's trying to follow him. Can Godzi get it done? No. Godzi stays in 3, rushes a little wide. That's going to give Matt Geist a chance to get on the podium.
Yeah,
Godzi on the inside again.
Just like that, Godzi was able to make a lot of these side-by-side moves possibly work, but again, getting past everybody going out a bit wide there, and that has changed the entire face of this top 4.
Put Matt Geist up to P2. Jamie Bradford and Melvin Godzi racing each other very hard. Maybe it went a little off track. But look at that. This also allowed Matt Geist to get right on the rear bumper of Troy Tony coming in through the last 2 corners of the race. Geist going to look for it. No. And it's going to be Troy Tony, your 206 Masters winner, followed by Matt Geist, Jamie Bradford, and Melvin Godzi. Just 1 spot out in P4. Michael Baden going to cross the line P5, and BJ Schnettler rounding out your field. An exciting last couple of laps. These guys all fast, all consistent. See a gap, you got to do everything in your power to get it done, and it was Troy Tony walking away with the victory.
Yeah, incredible last couple of laps there. So as we get ready to go to the replay here, we're going to see exactly how that all unfolded there within the that sector of the track. So as we start to look here on what exactly happened, I mean, lots of back and forth between the two, and then as we get over here in the Death Valley set of corners, you see that little bit of contact, and that ended up really pushing wide that one kart. And then as we can see through here, it's just, you know, so many karts so close together, then we inevitably get some additional you know, overtakes. But it did look a little bit of contact there with the 83 and the 118. We're going to go back real quickly and just see that one more time to just see exactly what that ended up looking like. The 83 might have washed wide a little bit. Kind of hard to tell from this angle since we can't exactly see the distance to that inner curve. But yeah, from there, then we go into the last corner where, again, we have the 83 pushed way out wide by the 118. And then that's what allowed that pass up the inside there before the back straightaway. Certainly a very interesting finish to that race. And as we get ready to go to a commercial break here, we'll see you back, and we will see you back here soon.
So you will finally want to get behind the wheel, huh?
Yeah, I've been shooting for 3 years and I've never got to drive.
Well, you're going to need some more gear than just your helmet. Why don't you go to shopakr.com. They got their inventory online, and they'll ship it the same day if you order before 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
They got shoes?
Yep.
Gloves?
Yep.
Rip protectors?
Got those too.
Can they make me go fast?
No.
Here at Acceleration Kart Racing, we've got everything you need to get on track. What happens next? Well, that's on you. Check us out online at shopakr.com.
Welcome back to Whiteland Raceway Park as we are just getting ready to go green for our final of the morning group with your KA Senior and KA Masters. This was a really good race, good heat race, and it led with Augusto Soda Sharipa winning the heat and starting pole position here in the final. Eli Fox is going to join him on the front row, followed by AJ Lund, Lane Gibbs in row 2, Braden Rudder, Hudson Potter in row 3, Casey Perry, Clay Robbins, row 4, Blake Finley, Raider Santos, row 5, Randall Hubble, Michael Gundoff in row 6, and Colt Shook in row 7 by himself. And then we have the 2 KA Masters, Joshua Nelson and Williams.
Yeah, as you said, the final of this morning. Going to be interesting to see how this plays out. It always is interesting.
As we see them really come in hot out of the grid, trying to get some heat in that tires. A lot of swerving and weaving, trying to do everything they can to get ready to go as we slow them way down as we enter the tram lines, trying to get a good start.
Yeah, I can't say that is exactly, you know, maybe with what the race instructions there were on and when exactly you need to form up, but Anyways, we get the green flag here into the first corner. Again, we see that outside tram line just not quite being able to hold on, but it looks like throughout this next set of corners that everybody was able to get through that turn 1 cleanly.
Through turns 1, 2, 3, and 4 as they enter Death Valley. A lot of moving and shaking right now. A lot of battles. Everyone kind of trying to gain position, but playing it cool. Everyone exits Death Valley good. So we do have a couple side-by-side going down the backstretch. They even themselves out before heading through the switchback. And as of now, it is all Augusto Soto Sharipa up front, followed by Eli Fox and then AJ Lund back to third.
Yeah, I got to be critical here that there's not too much infighting, or else I am very sure that Soto Sharipa will be able to run away with this already with a very healthy gap coming through the first lap. And as they cross the line, that does appear to be a gap of almost 1 second after just the first lap.
Right now, everyone just playing nice, trying to fill each other out. Where are you going to go? Where do you like to move? Where are you going to gain time? But even though this race is 9 minutes and 2 laps, that 9 minutes runs out very quickly, especially if you are in the mid-pack.
Yeah, with a field as big as this, if you're in the mid-pack, I mean, it'd be one thing, you know, with some of our other classes that are a bit smaller, but here it's significant. That's a lot of passes to make. Every single pass costs you time. It's just not very easy to take up a lot of positions here.
This time by the gap to Fox from Sharipa is still over 9/10 of a second, but Fox did go purple that time just by about 600.
As we have a Kart going around after the first corner there.
Can't quite make out what number it is, but it is one of the Top Kart USA machines. Trying to see where there's a gap. Meanwhile, in the backstretch, Lane Gibbs makes it past AJ Lund for P3 in the final spot on the podium. Sharipa still out front. Fox behind him this time. The gap closed by a 1/10 down to 8/10. Gibbs in front of Lund. Braden Rudder rounding out your top 5. It looks like that car that was involved in that turn 1 incident was going to be the 909 of Hudson Potter. Hudson was running mid-pack about up to 6th or so, and now he's dropped all the way back down to 15th.
Yeah, as you can see in the replay in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen there, it just seemed that a little bit of contact there that ended up occurring. I can't quite say exactly who all was involved in that, but contact ended up spinning that cart after the first corner. Luckily, they were able to keep going.
Fox continuing, trying to shrink the gap between him and Augusto Soto Sharipa. This time it's down to just over 7/10 of a second. Good battle shaping up for third right now between the MPG Motorsports driver of Lane Gibbs and the Top Kart USA of AJ Lund. Driving through right now, Eli Fox still sizable gap to first. Best battle on track right now is the battle for third between Lane Gibbs and AJ Lund. Lund looks to the inside, can't quite get it done, and that's going to drop him back just a little bit off of Gibbs. Gonna have to be smooth and pick your battles right. Know where you're going to go, unless you want to drop far in this field, because Braden Rudder in 5th is not too far behind. It just seems Sharipa just really has good exit out of Death Valley that sets him up very well, very nicely for the back straightaway. Very curious to see what the gaps could be this time by as they cross the line. The gap has grown. This time it's 1.1 second gap between first and second. Meanwhile, that battle for third, AJ Lund has caught back up to the rear bumper of Lane Gibbs. Going to be a very interesting fight to see who gets that final step on the podium if things stay the way they are. Lund all over. Gibbs looks to see if there's anything on the inside. Not quite there now. Going to follow him into the 180 complex.
A little over 4.5 minutes left in the race.
Looked like Lund was a little better in the 180 in Stinger Oval that time by, and he's right there back on Gibbs. It looks like we have a yellow flag in turn 1 as we have the kart stopped.
Yeah, not exactly sure what happened there.
That's going to be the 73 of Randall Hubble.
Yeah, able to get going though again. And the yellow flag is fully clear now in the first quarter.
Looking back on track action.
Is the
Augusto
414 coming off?
Yeah, the 414 of Clay Robbins pulling off the track. His day is done. Don't know quite what happened to him, but unfortunate to see a competitor have to pull off early. Back out front, it's still Augusto Soto Sharipa with a 2-second lead over Eli Fox right now. If you look back at the battle for third between Lane Gibbs and AJ Lund, that gap is only 0.3 of a second. These two have known each other for a while, always raced very clean, but very close together, so we'll definitely be interesting to see who gets the upper hand this time.
Yeah, just crossing the 3-minute mark to go. And yeah, they just seem to get ever closer, as beyond that, the entire rest of the field is very, very spread out right now.
This time by the gap between third and fourth was only 0.2 of a second. Lund is closing on Gibbs as time is running out. Just over 2 minutes to go left in the race. Definitely looks like this battle for third, that Gibbs has a better entry in the Death Valley complex, but Lund gets a better exit and drive off. That allows us to really close up, coming through the Daytona turn, and Lund is seeming to be the better driver over here, a lot smoother, closes up his gaps. The one thing you really have to watch over here, and that just bit AJ Lund a little bit, he's gonna drop a little back, is you gotta be careful of that inside curve. If you clip that and hop just a little bit, it kills some of your momentum and you're gonna drop back just a little bit like Lund did there. Yeah, the curves are significant, and when you bounce off of them, it heavily unsettles the kart. Doesn't always come across quite accurately on camera on just how tall they are, but when you're going so fast and when you bump over them, there's no mistaking what you just did, that's for sure. Out front, it is all Augusto Soto Sharipa, as his gap last time by was 2.8 seconds on Eli Fox. He has been the dominant KA senior driver all day long, and let's see what the gap is this time by. Yeah, Gibbs seemed to maybe slide just a little bit coming out of the 180, so it's going to be interesting to see exactly what Lund does. Yeah, Lund's going to close it up there. The gap between third and fourth is only 2.5 tenths. Meanwhile, Soto Sharipa opened up his lead over 3 seconds over Eli Fox. But we do have a lapped car coming up. As always, lapped car could make or break quite a few people's races here in this final. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how that plays out. Very nice move by the lapped car right there, giving plenty of room to the leader to let him get by and not disrupt this fight at all. As we come to 2 laps to go for Soto Sharipa, and he is running away with it. that time by. The gap was 3.1 seconds.
Broke the 3-second barrier finally.
Lane Gibbs with a defensive line into turn 1 to hold off AJ Lund. AJ Lund trying to hang it around the outside of turn 2. Can't quite get it done.
Yeah, you can visually see there just the amount of time that was lost pulling that defensive move, but probably needed just to make sure that...
Meanwhile, it looks like Eli Fox had a little bit of trouble there getting around the left car. Joshua Nelson can't quite clear him going down the backstretch.
But they go side by side through the switchback over here. And it looks like potentially lining up a move in the 180 and a huge lunge around the outside. But still not quite able to make the move happen.
AJ Lund can't quite get it done, and they are coming up on the lapped cart. Lapped cart right in front of them, very slow.
This is going to be critical here.
They both go to the inside. Lund trying to hold, trying to get more of a diamond pattern through turn 1. Not going to make it work. He tucks back up on Lane Gibbs. Entering the Death Valley complex. Gibbs once again running that defensive line. Can Lund do an over-under on him? He's going to try Lund to the inside. Drag race down the back straightaway. Put Lund in front of Gibbs, but it is not over yet.
Lund has the position, Gibbs right behind. As they go through into the 180, Gibbs seems to be too far behind to really challenge that.
Meanwhile, Augusto Sotoshripa is going to take home the checkered flag, the checkered black. The finish is under review. Eli Fox P2, AJ Lund able to gap just enough to take home P3, Lane Gibbs P4.
Yeah, and I saw as Gibbs crossed the line there, hitting his steering wheel. Definitely not happy with how that ended up turning out, but definitely a great race between the two. Certainly the closest finish out of the whole field.
Yeah, definitely a good battle between those two all race long. They know each other's driving styles very well. They've raced in junior together and now up here in the seniors. Glad to see things like that continue. Meanwhile, the rest of your field, Braden Rutter is going to finish 5th to round out your top 5. Casey Perry, Blake Finley, Raider Santos, Colt Shook, Michael Gundolf round out your top 10. With Randall Hubble, Clay Robinson, Hudson Potter finishing out your KA Senior. Meanwhile, KA Masters, it's Nathan Williams taking home the win and Joshua Nelson finishing 2nd.
Yeah, well, decently interesting last final from our morning finals here. As we get ready to take our break before we start our Kid Kart session, we will have limited coverage for our Kid Kart session, but we will come back here with full coverage on kart chasing going into the qualifying rounds. We're going to switch back over to the free stream now and get ready to prepare for our afternoon sessions. It's been a pleasure to join you this morning. My name is Stuart Luhigo.
I'm Vince Haddon.
And we're going to join you back after this break for lunch.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us.
Welcome to the Kart Indianapolis experience at Whiteland Raceway Park. Indy's premier outdoor karting circuit, Whiteland Raceway Park is just 20 minutes south of downtown Indy and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Our trackside event center and high-speed go-karts make Whiteland Raceway Park the perfect destination for your next event or party. Stop in today or book your race online at racewrp.com and experience real racing right here in Indy.
We're at a commercial break.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200 from Acceleration Kart Racing's website?
That's because AKR gives you free shipping on orders of $200 or more within the continental US.
Okay, but I thought you were just getting a pair of gloves. That's what, 70 bucks?
But if I'm getting a new pair of gloves, I might as well get a new pair of shoes to match. And then on top of that, I'll get a neck brace because with the shipping, it's basically free.
Yeah, I do not think the math checks out on that.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free for orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Spend responsibly. Shop AKR.com.